All right, how's it going? Welcome to the first episode of the Long Island Gamers podcast, because we couldn't come up with a name even though we've been planning this for weeks. Anyway, that's beside the point. Welcome to the first episode. We're really excited to get started. I guess I'll start things off. I am Mike Campbell, also known as It's the Soup. You can follow me on my social medias at It's the Soup because I'm not creative enough to come up with other ones. So that's me. And joining us also is Cory, and he'll introduce himself right now.
Hello, everybody. My name's Cory Webster. My gamer tag goes by OLegitXX. In my social media is CoryWebster85 for Twitter and Instagram, specifically, since those are the ones I use.
Yeah, so feel free to hit us up, follow us. I post a lot on Instagram about gaming. I spam a lot of people about gaming, so if you enjoy spam of gaming, please follow me. I'm desperate for followers. So to shake things up, side note, our friend and fellow co-host Cody Webster is not here. He's busy. We'll hopefully have him on the next podcast. We'll introduce him and have him take part in the discussion the next time we have our episode. So there'll be a third voice, hopefully in our next episode.
And,
but yes,
hold on. And yes, my name's Cory and his name's Cody.
Yeah, don't get that confused.
One letter off. I don't have the E in Cory, so.
So what that means is tweet him and make sure you say the E in his name, because that'll certainly won't get on his nerves.
No, not at all.
All right, so let's start things off. I know the title of the video mentions E3, but let's start things off a little easier, kind of like first day of class. Let's talk about our first game we ever played and what our favorite game is of all time. And I'm going to toss it over to Cory to start us off. So, first game you ever played?
All right, so first game, went over to my friend's house because I didn't have the N64, but I played Super Mario 64. And ever since then, changed my entire career of gaming.
So Super Mario 64 was your first.
Yep.
And what of that game, what do you remember most about it?
Just roaming around. Like, okay, so basically going from, like, my dad always talked about Atari and everything, and I have played Atari since and everything, but, like, just imagine just going on a computer, you know, like, in the early 2000s, and not having really other than just the Internet Explorer. And then you go to a system completely different, and you could just, there's colors, everything is just so totally different. And it's just, it's a controller. I mean, it's just, literally, it's just the first experience of something totally bright and new of life.
Right.
So, I don't know, just the whole experience of it just being brand new to me was really, really opened up my eyes to a new world in gaming.
Nice. And I guess now the easy question. So what's your favorite game of all the games you've played over the years?
You probably won't think that this is, but
Barbie Horse Adventure.
No. Sadly, no.
Dang it. It's mine. Spoiler.
No, I went to my cousin's house. He had a PlayStation, and this is actually what started me to get PlayStation was Crash Team Racing. So played for the first time, and literally the next day I got a PlayStation.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great game till this day. I had to go on a random site and buy the game because I didn't have it anymore.
So you're in love with CTR. So I'm assuming you're
yeah.
excited about the. Are you a fan of the series itself, like the platformers?
Oh yeah, the whole entire series.
Okay. All right. Well, solid. I cannot say I actually ever played. I did play CTR. I played it one time we hung out, and I was terrible. We did not record that. It was good. I was terrible. No one will see that footage. For me, if I think back to my first game, I guess it would have to be, this will make me sound really old. So I happened to see that someone I know was playing on a Game Boy, the original Game Boy, the one the size of a cinder block, and it was Tetris. That was the first video game I actually ever played. And there was just something crazy about, like, just seeing the ability to play a game, like, in my hands like that. Like, I mean, I was so little, so I didn't really have an idea of, like, oh, I can play with toys. I'm like, well, I can play this thing too. It was really cool.
That's exactly what I was talking about. That's where I was going with.
Yeah, it was so surprising, just like, it opened my eyes to something different. And I guess from there, it caused me to start, like, really checking out gaming. And then my cousin a few months later had the Super Nintendo. So, of course, Super Mario World Mortal Kombat, all those. Then I finally got my first system, which was a Sega Genesis. So kind of started a snowball from there, and thousands of dollars later, oh, the addiction grows. Oh.
Still to this day.
Yes, absolutely. Now, when it comes to my favorite game, I've played a lot of games over the years, and there are a lot of games I really, really like. If anyone knows me in real life, they know I'm not the kind of person who's like, oh, this is amazing, this is awesome. I'm very much a kind of, oh, that's cool, that's okay. The one game that I still consider my favorite to this day, and it's easily going on, should be coming up on over 10, 15 years old now. It is on the N64, and it is not The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, or Majora's Mask. It's not Super Mario 64. It's Pokemon Stadium 2. Wow. I don't know why, even to this day, sitting and playing it, because I still have a copy of it, hooked up to an N64, sitting and playing it just, it takes me back to why I fell in love with the Pokemon franchise to begin with. The actual Pokemon, the people, the gameplay, I don't know, just that game, unlike any other console version to this point, hopefully the new Pokemon games are fantastic. All the games to that point really didn't capture, console. The console games to that point didn't capture what I was looking for, like Pokemon Stadium 2 has. It's so fun. It's a simplistic, but it's a surprisingly deep game if you know what you're doing. And even still, I love it to this day. So, Pokemon Stadium 2, it's fantastic. It's gold and silver, like the games.
I'm actually surprised I didn't just guess Pokemon in my head. I mean, you play Pokemon so much that I'm like, I don't know what it could have been, but I definitely didn't have Pokemon there.
A lot of people, you'd assume it's probably like, oh, Pokemon Red, blah, blah, blah. I liked Red. I liked all the Game Boy Pokemon games. I loved Generation 2, and obviously if I loved Stadium 2, which was really rooted in Generation 2, that's coming through of my love of that generation with Pokemon Stadium 2. So, yeah, I love Johto. Dude, I dressed up as Morty as the gym leader from Equity City because I love Generation 2. Look for those pictures on my Instagram. It's the soup. Shameless plug. I'm done now. I'm done. I'm done. It's called being smooth.
For me, I played all the older ones. It's now that I've been out of Pokemon for so long, it's hard to get back into it because I don't know all these new Pokemon, and I like the originals, and trying to get back into it is just it's not really working. So what I've been doing is playing the old ones, like just replaying the old ones.
Right. And I think as we talk today, as we jump into our actual discussion about E3, which will be coming up, you'll see that Nintendo is trying to recapture the exact kind of demographic they're trying to get with these new ones coming out later this year. So they're trying to get those people who may have fallen off a little bit and not been following the franchise after, say, maybe Generation 2, and have fallen off. They want to get those guys back by using Pokemon that people know and things like that. So we'll definitely get into that, and I'll ask you if that could sway you to maybe get a Switch when we jump into our discussion on that part of E3.
I already have an answer for that. Well, for what about a Switch, but yeah.
All right. So, as everyone knows from looking at the lovely title down there, of course, this episode is about E3. So, might as well go ahead, now that we've all kind of introduced ourselves, jump into the discussion on E3. And as we all know, it was multi-day event. All the companies, well, a lot of companies had their press events or some form of press event with a pre-recorded video or an actual event in front of people that was live streamed, things like that. And a lot of things are, of course, talked about. And while we will touch on some of those things, it's more about talking about what we thought of some of these things that came out of the press conferences and things like that. Particularly some of they call them the big three, Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox with Microsoft. And, of course, some of the smaller press conferences with your developers and things like that. So, hey, if you want to, Cory, you want to go and just jump right in?
Yeah, so let's just jump in right with Xbox, to be honest.
Okay.
Because that's the one we own, obviously.
Right. I think that actually will be helpful. So, for the record, let's go maybe some of the things we own. So, of the systems I own a 3DS, a Switch, the Xbox One. So those are my current gen systems, and also I play on PC some. But those are my current gen systems. I know, Cory, I think you have PlayStation covered because you have a PS4.
Yeah, I have a PlayStation 4, Xbox One, nice PC to play PC games. Those are the obviously current ones. I do have a Xbox 360, a PlayStation 2, so.
Gotcha. So we'll be definitely kind of bouncing around, and you can tell there'll probably be some passion on some things from myself because I'm a proud Nintendo Switch owner. Bought it day 2 of its release, and then of course I don't have a PlayStation 4, and Corey does, so he'll have some perspectives there. So really be kind of a dynamic conversation. But first, we're going to jump into Xbox, and they had their show on Sunday to kind of start things off at E3, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was Sunday afternoon. So. Uh, where do you want to jump in on that? What are your thoughts? Where were your takeaways? Kind of just as we get started. What did you see out of Microsoft?
I just want to start it off with saying I don't know what it is, but I like Phil Spencer. I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
He I don't know. Just, the E3 this year for Xbox actually like killed it for me.
In what ways?
I just think they packed more of a punch than any other company that did. I mean, if you look at it, well, I'll go into it later, but PlayStation, I don't know. I felt like it wasn't as professional as Xbox. There's that, but there was 50 games, 18 exclusive, and 15 world premieres.
Yes.
I felt like they just brought so much more to the table and was so much more ready, especially now that you got the Xbox One X out of the way. Right. So it's not about the whole, it's the Xbox One X, it's the 4K. They didn't like plant that into your head now. Now it's just like, okay, let's basically bring a lot of good games that every different genre that people would love. And they, to my opinion, they did that very well this year.
I think when it comes to Xbox, when I sat and watched the press conference live, one of the things that stuck out to me was I've watched them for years. So I've watched them through the height of the Xbox 360, transitioning into the One, and now we're in the midst of the One life cycle. One thing that was interesting when I look at last year to this year, I completely understand as a business that you're about to release a new piece of hardware, as we were seeing the Xbox One X getting ready to come out. And what I felt last year's press conference lacked was a reason to buy the system. There was not enough there to justify buying it. If you're trying to sell me this console, why should I buy it? I think they spent too much time focusing on a teardown of the system last year. Just, it has this much hardware, it has that much hardware. Whereas I think when you're a consumer, when you're looking at it from a consumer perspective, it's about, okay, this is all great and all, what can this do? And I think this year was about positioning the Xbox One X as, this is the system you need to own. Here's why. Here are 50 reasons why, and 18 experiences you'll only get here on Xbox. This was a year that they needed. I felt like you probably should have had a little more of that last year, just a dash of that, to help sell the system instead of it just being, it's a very powerful console. Why? Show me what this powerful console can do, aside from just some kind of, I guess, if you want to say, in a better way, instead of just showing a few games, show me more. I don't care if it maybe isn't coming out till this year, which we'll get into Sony later. I don't care if it's maybe something that's a little down the road. Show me things that are in the pipeline that will make this system a worthwhile buy and make me want to get it now so I can get those games later. This year's press conference really hit that on the head, really showing me why I should buy the One X.
Well, also last year, they bring out the whole Xbox One X and everything. Right. But realistically, if you're going to have a good time with a 4K, now you have to buy a system, however much that was. What was like 500 or something like that, yes. 400, whatever. And then you got to buy a 4K TV.
Correct.
And those are not cheap either. So now you're looking at anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 or even $2,000 deposit just to play Xbox One games. Yeah, it's right. 4K. But for right now, where we stand right now, or where we stood last year, 1080p did its job, and most people were very, very fine with it.
Right. I mean, when it comes down to when we're looking at graphical fidelity, and we're looking at how these games are looking, I don't think we're at a point right now where we were when I was younger in the late 90s going into the 2000s, where I'm younger and I'm seeing these games just go from being 16-bit awesome just side scrollers of the Super Nintendo to just jumping in to the 3D realm of 64-bit processing. Like that was a huge leap. Like it was interesting. I heard an analogy from Eagle Raptor over at the Game Grumps. Just it was so jarring. They had to make the camera a character because the concept of playing 3D games was such a foreign concept back then, and also the look of the games. I don't think we're seeing that jump, that like massive change in the graphical fidelity, getting closer to real life that we saw back then. So there has to be more to sell people on besides just saying, oh, the graphics are better. It's like, okay, that's great, but the graphics are good now. So it's just, I think it's now you're having to pivot and try and make sure you sell these games not in this is going to be a fantastic looking game. It's like, okay, but what other experiences am I going to get? Because I'm already getting fantastic looking games. Even games that launched on the one years ago still look pretty good now. So there needs to be a little more. And I think this year was about trying to get people to think about the one into the holiday season and into 2019 going forward. That's what I think, at least.
Yeah, I just to talk about one thing about like the whole graphics and everything. I remember last year, 2 years ago, whenever it was, I was playing Madden downstairs, and I can't even remember the last time my parents even saw what a video game looks like. So I was playing my Madden game, and my dad goes, what is football doing on? It's not even the season right now. I was like, Dad, I'm playing a video game right now. He goes, no. Like, he just couldn't believe. After
Right.
not seeing a video game. Like, he's played PS1 games with me. But that's such a change from now to then.
Right, of course. And that was lovely noise. It's our first time. We're professional here at the Long Island Gamers. Whoops.
Rookie.
Rookie mistake. You would think I'd know from working on a radio station. Even I've had those kind of experiences where a generation that probably came up when video games were starting to really jump on the scene back in the 80s and into early 90s, they start seeing these games that get closer looking to reality, and they're just like, it takes them aback. It almost looks like a real kind of thing. When I used to play a lot of NASCAR games back when I was younger, I was always like, oh, this game is getting so much closer to real life and it looks so good. And my mom would just go, they all look like they're in real life. They look so real. I'm like, oh, you don't understand. It looks so much better. It doesn't look the same at all. So it is about it's about trying to, like I said, it's about trying to give people these reasons. And I think this year, Xbox really did a good job of like addressing some of the things that have been going around in the community of why do people own the Xbox One? Just there's nothing here. What are the exclusives? Now, side note, they did get a lot of kind of flack for the fact that a lot of the things they did showcase were multi-platform games, so there are also experiences you can get on the PlayStation. But at the same time, I still think that they did a good job showing some exclusives and at least trying to say these are there. We have experiences you only can get here on Xbox One and the Microsoft platform. And as we get to later, the acquisition of those studios, I think further enhances their ability to be able to say and be able to produce maybe those exclusives that another competitor such as Sony won't be able to have, and maybe they can use that to sell. That's me at least.
Right before we like actually get into Xbox,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to talk about like a top 3 of E3?
Sure. All right. That's if Michael can remember his top 3 of E3.
Yeah, you should probably start with that. I can start with it if you want, and you can.
I do remember my top 3. And 2 of them were showcased during the Xbox presentation, so that should be easy for me to talk about. So I guess I'll start off with the Xbox ones and then save that third one, say what it is, but save it for later. So one of them is Forza Horizon 4. Now, as you'll see if you follow me on Instagram, at It's a Soup on Instagram. Okay, now I'm done. Now I'm finished.
Are you done with the plugging yet?
Nah, sure. The Forza series is one I've actually followed for a long time. I've been playing Forza since Motorsport 2 when it came out on Xbox 360. I'll be honest, I was skeptical when they went in the more arcade racing direction, But each year they've really done a good job of like making the game an individual on its own. The first one, which was on 360, fantastic. The second one, which some people gave some issue for, it was alongside the Xbox One within its first year. Also pretty good. 3, I haven't finished, but I have enjoyed it when I have picked it up. And 4, we're going back to kind of the European setting. I didn't feel like we got a lot of details about what this premise of this game is, but in all honesty, Forza Horizon's kind of been that's kind of been their thing where they're like, we're not really going to kind of tell you the premise until a little later before the game comes out. So I'm really intrigued to see what they have planned. I think the seasons is really interesting. I like the fact that it's going to be dynamic across online play. From what I'm reading, the driver tars will be gone, so I'm looking forward to that. Because I think driver tars, while it was interesting, I didn't find it as interesting as, say, having an actual person to race with or just playing against AI. So it just felt like AI with gamer tags above their names. And overall, I'm interested in the setting. While I'm disappointed they didn't go to, say, a different car culture, like maybe Japan, like I really want to see one day. I think Playground Games, who is now an Xbox company, is going to do a great job with this, so I'm really excited about that. The other one that they announced during a press conference came at the end, and I'm sure you saw that, which was the Cyberpunk announcement and the reveal trailer for that from CD Projekt Red. I don't know much about the Cyberpunk world.
Yeah, I had questions because I have no idea. Like I didn't even know what I was looking at, to be honest, at one point.
I'm going to be honest with you. I do not know much about the Cyberpunk universe, and maybe we'll get some flack for, oh, well, you should do your research before you talk about something. No, because I think this is an interesting perspective that I'm bringing into this. I don't know much about this universe, but I am intrigued and I want to find out what CD Projekt Red is going to do with this universe because of the fact that I played The Witcher 3. And I truly love how they told a story and created such a dynamic world in The Witcher 3. I never played a Witcher game until I happened to go to a mall here in Virginia, and it was, I think, the day after Thanksgiving, and The Witcher was on sale for $30. And I generally try to buy a game on discount every Black Friday. It's a chance to try something new at a cheap price. And that was a few years ago, and I still play The Witcher to this day. I love playing the game. CD Projekt Red does such a great job of creating an engaging, alive world. And I'm really intrigued by the look of this game, and I just want to jump in it and just experience it for myself. Going in blind. I went in blind with a game that has had 2 titles before it, with The Witcher 1 and 2. I'm going in blind with a series I don't know anything about, or a property I don't know anything about with Cyberpunk, but I want to learn it and I want to know the story that they're going to tell. So I'm really excited about that one.
This is it. Is this the first Cyberpunk, or is it have multiple came out before?
Professional. That I would have to look into. To my knowledge, this is the first game that is going to be associated with this property. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. It is not from a video game universe. It's from another media property. And CD Projekt Red is tackling the task of bringing it to the video game world. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. I like going in a little blind with a game like this. Because it gives me a chance to kind of just take in a new world completely off the cuff. Just jumping in. And it's what I did with The Witcher, and I saw some great comments from another YouTuber I watch where it took them a few hours to get into it, and that's the same experience I had, where I kind of felt like it was a slog to get into The Witcher, but at the end of the day, I'd say for me, probably like 8 hours in, when I was finally getting a feel for the game and really experiencing the world, that's when it turned me into a fan of the Witcher series and CD Projekt Red's work. So I'm very intrigued to see what they do with this game. And yes, I can't expunge on all the things that are talked about with this series and this property, but as you can tell, I have some eagerness and some excitement to want to get into it when it finally comes out.
I only saw like a really quick video about it and everything.
Yeah.
So like I didn't, obviously.
I'm guessing you
everybody
probably
else did
saw
too.
the same thing I saw, which was the ending at E3, which
Yeah, with the hacks and everything. Yes.
right.
It. I hope I'm just not eyeballing at this point, but like I don't know why I got like a Sunset Overdrive type movement feel, not like the game, specifically the game and everything,
Right.
but the movement. Like
Yeah.
it almost felt like that, and I'm like, well, if it has a good story and everything, I believe that it should be a good game then.
Right. I like the look of the game. Again, coming from The Witcher, which I feel like I should just call this the Witcher cast because of how much I'm talking about The Witcher. Coming from The Witcher, the one thing that I really liked that they did, and I see it happening in here, the environment is so rich with color. It's not this kind of drab shades of gray and brown that you saw with a lot of these open world games back in the day. CD Projekt Red created this really bright, vibrant environment that's alive. And when I saw that trailer during the latter stages of Xbox's press conference, it really reaffirmed that this game has that similar feel, that this brightness, this vitality to this area we're going to be, going to. And that has me excited. I couldn't tear myself away because, yes, I didn't know quite what I was looking at, but at the same time, I want to know more. And I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out as this game continues to develop.
Yeah. All right. So let's not put too long on this. But what is your third game?
I stared at my iPad for hours and hours and watched the reveal trailer at least 8 or 9 times. And it's Super Smash Brothers. Please, it's Super Smash Brothers Universe. Oh my god, I need it. I need it today. I need it tomorrow. I need it forever. December 7th can't get here soon enough. I won't go on and on about it, but as a longtime Super Smash Brothers fan, I am very excited for the Smash Brothers game. So we'll get to that later, but that's my top 3 for E3.
We were in an Xbox party. It must have been what? A day or a couple hours after
Yes,
Nintendo went on and everything.
That's correct.
So I went on vacation as E3 was going on and everything, but like I left the day after Nintendo went and everything. And he goes, "Yeah, I'll probably watch it about 8 times by the time you come back." The night of, he goes, "I already watched it 2 times. I'm so excited."
It's a lovely trailer. Everyone is here. I'm so excited. I'm done. That's enough for right now. Side note, Cyberpunk is adopted from a tabletop game, Cyberpunk 2020. So I thought I was right, but I didn't want to say it because I don't want to get yelled at in the comments below. It was adapted from a tabletop game. So I was right, but I was scared. So yeah, those are my top 3 of E3 overall. And as you could tell, 2 of those came out of the Xbox press conference alone. And as you can tell from my list, it's really focused on the things I was into and that I own. So that can maybe foreshadow that Sony didn't sell me on anything. Ooh, sorry. What is your top 3 of E3?
All right, so 2 of mine were on the Xbox.
Okay.
One was the first one is half of Xbox.
Okay.
And that's because it was in Bethesda. Wow, I just flubbed that. But anyway.
Bethesda.
All right, so we're going back to the vault, baby. The vault. Oh my god, I can't speak right now.
He's so excited he can't speak. We're going back to the vault.
We're going back to the vault. 25 years, we got this, and that's Fallout 76. I literally just watched it and everything, and I'm so excited. It just looks like a totally new game, and I'm so excited. You can literally build wherever you want and move. Fallout has always been a single player game, and now that they added shouldn't say it's multiplayer, but
right,
because you could still do the campaign, solo and everything, but you could do co-op, which is I think pretty cool.
Right,
and most of the AIs, well, I'm doing AIs with a quotation, is an actual player. So I'm excited for that. You could literally walk up to somebody and you could work with them, or they could kill you. Right. So I'm very excited, just because it's a whole new thing. I mean, when has Fallout been a slash on slash multiplayer game. It hasn't.
That's
so
true.
It's a
That's
new.
true.
It's just a new experience, and who knows how it will really go. But
Right.
I think that they need to try it.
Right. As a, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It could just bring in so many more people. Just the fact that, like, I could probably bring in a friend or two saying, "Hey, you know, this game's a multiplayer game. We should just play it together." You know.
Right. Yeah. As a, I've only played one Fallout game ever, and I played Fallout 3. And perhaps when I was younger, my brain was not as well developed. I was terrible at it, and it slighted me to the experience. And I'm not the guy who will sit here and go, "Oh, Fallout is terrible." Da da da. I think Fallout is a fantastic franchise, and I followed it and appreciated it through Fallout fans. But I personally have not played a lot of the series. I was intrigued by this game. They did push it a lot. It was on the buildings in Los Angeles, and I don't know. Even though I haven't played a Fallout game truly in over 10 years, I do follow the franchise. I follow what they do, and I just kind of keep up with it. I do find the Fallout universe interesting. I find Bethesda as a company very interesting, even though they're really kind of focused on, in my opinion, two brands, their Elder Scrolls series and the Fallout series. I still find Bethesda to be a fascinating company, so I'll keep up with what they do, but I'll probably have to defer to you, and maybe I'll just come over to your house and watch you play Fallout 76, because I might not have it, but I'll just go on your world and screw around.
Yeah. I remember playing Fallout 3 for the first time, and that was the first Fallout I picked up everything.
Right.
And I remember, like, I don't know if you remember the whole scene, but, like, you get out of the vault and everything, and you do a couple missions, and you go to the shopping center.
Yes.
And you have to kill the people, right? I died there. Like, I must have died. Like, this was when I was really young, but I must have died like 3 times there. Threw my controller on the ground. I was like, I'm done with this game. I can't play it. And then I picked it up a few years later, and it really was a good game. That ever since then, it got me into playing Fallout.
Right. I think I was mauled by dogs before I got to the shopping center. I was kind of like, this is not the thing for me. I'm just gonna go. Back to Barbie Horse Adventure. That's also my other favorite game. So Fallout 76. That's on your list. What else you got?
We got a game called Gears of War 5.
Okay.
Now, I've played every single Gears of War. And it's just a franchise that I'm very excited for. And you know what it is? I go from playing Call of Duty and everything, which is a first-person shooter, action-paced, fast, everything, right? And then you go to Gears. It's a third person. It's more like, I feel like it's more of a strategic game because but it's also harder. And but the campaign is where I loved. I remember playing co-op with my brother, and every single one, it was simply just amazing. The story was good, and I played Marcus, and my brother played Dom. At least for the first 3, and when you get attached to a character and everything, and then this story makes it to sad. Like in Gears of War 3, Dom died. He saved the other one's lives and everything. And
spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler. It only happened years and years ago. But
many years ago, spoilers.
But that was like the first time I might have experienced like a death in a video game, and I was like, damn, yo, like that's heartbreaking right there. You go 3 games and you like fell in love with the guy.
Right.
But and then you fast forward to Gears of War 4, where they actually, for a split second, you thought Marcus did die. Right. Now I was like, damn, that's my guy. That's me. That's Marcus. And then obviously you play the game later on and you find out that he didn't. And you save him and everything. But I'm excited to see that Marcus is back for the 5th. They did make him look a lot younger. I mean, in Gears of War 4, he had the white beard and everything, or gray beard, whatever you. And then now he has it shaved off. So. Right. But I'm kind of hoping that they do bring him into the story, because basically the whole story is you follow Kate on the concern for her grandmother's necklace and everything. Right. So I expect it to be. Obviously, the main character is Kate, but I just hope we get like a little hint of Marcus in there, because dating back to Gears of War 1, he's still my favorite.
Of course.
Or even if we have a chance to play as him, that'd be great. I mean, it looked good. So
yeah.
But
I like the trailer that we saw.
every
during
Gears
the
to me
presser.
looks good. So it's just a biased opinion. You know, it got to that point.
Right.
But moving on to my third one, and I actually did not think it was going to be my third one, but it is The Last of Us Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Game looked phenomenal. I mean, it literally looked so good. Maybe the kiss was a little fake, but who's to say?
Right.
Who's to say? Basically, in the first one, because I don't know if you actually played the first one, but
no, I did not.
It's basically what happened is it's an outbreak of a mutated strain of cordyceps, of a fungus, and it destroyed the civilization. So basically, the purpose of the single player is to go across a apocalyptic
There we go.
United States trying to create a cure.
Yeah.
And then basically you're Joel and you have little Ellie, which I don't know if you saw, but Ellie in the Last of Us Part 2.
Yes.
She was young in the first one. So now I have a couple of questions, not going to lie, because Ellie's a lot older.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Joel. They didn't mention they didn't mention Joel's name. The only thing they did mention was an old man.
Right.
Now my whole question is that old man Joel? Because at the end of Part 1, it was kind of. Some people say it was upsetting. If you think about kids, yeah, it is a little upsetting that what happened. 2014, spoilers. Ooh. But you ever play a video game, right?
Right.
And obviously you played a video game, but have you ever played a video game where it just feels right in your hands? Like the controls work fantastic.
Yes.
The movement's good. Yeah. Basically that's how I felt.
Right. It's hard to find a game that fits
Yeah.
that perfectly nowadays, but yes.
I don't know, it's just something about the game. It just felt good. But about the second one, Ellie is a badass, man. Like she's just out there killing people like it's nothing. Like it's her day job.
She's doing what she's got to do.
Yeah, and hey, she's got a new girl now. Everybody's jealous. She's got her life good. But yeah, that's basically it.
It's a solid top 3.
It's my top 3. There was a couple of mentions that basically I'm a huge Trials fan, so that was a thing, but I didn't really see enough about it, and it's really not like a full title, so there's that. Halo I didn't see enough of, and Wolfenstein I didn't see enough of.
Right.
So I couldn't put them up there. Yeah, I'm excited for those games, but I couldn't put them up there if I didn't see enough.
Right.
So if you do want to start with back to Xbox, we did open up with Halo Infinite.
Yeah, we opened up with Halo Infinite, which was, like I saw someone say, and they're actually spot on with it. Xbox does like to kind of fake out people when it comes to showing games and being like, this is definitely not Halo, and then all of a sudden there it is, and there's Master Chief. Like, okay, cool, it is Halo. We knew all along. Yeah, we started off with Halo Infinite, which was nice. Again, let's start the show off by showing that we have exclusives. We have things that you need to play here on Xbox, and while we don't know anything about it, at least we see that, I guess, they're working on the next Halo title. And then, if I'm not mistaken, we transitioned out to Phil Spencer doing his opening remarks and really calling gaming the great unifier, which I think is true, because it's very true for us, considering that's how we met, was through gaming. So I definitely can agree with that. And that's when during that same spiel, he also brought up the fact that it is 50 games, 18 exclusives, and 15 world premieres. So really off the starting line, just saying, we're going to throw a lot of games at you. So strap in, because it's going to be a lot coming at you in an hour and like 30 minutes. And I'm not going to lie, it was. And some things were paced a little strangely, just something that took a little too long. Even as a Forza fan, I don't think you need a long segment about a racing game. Come like at the end of the day, it's still just a racing game. I feel like, in fairness to other things that were on stage, I wish a little more time had gone to other stuff. But it was a kind of a whip around, just game after game after game after game. uh, just sometimes it was hard to keep up with, but I think it's what we needed when it came to Xbox coming off the last couple of years. Definitely. I don't know if you want to go through game by game or just kind of hit the highlights of things that jumped out at us. What's
well, I got
pleasure?
one thing to say about Halo. As a guy that follows esports and a lot of esports, you kind of get the talks and everything that there's going to be a new game.
Right.
So I had the feeling that there was,
Right.
but to be honest, I thought they would have showed a little bit more. I'm not mad or anything. Whatever.
Right.
The cinematic views were actually pretty cool. It was,
Right.
And I'm excited. So we'll see where that goes and what it leads to.
So I think it's kind of like the consensus I've been seeing around is like, it's that confirmation that they're doing something. It's sort of like with Bethesda, where they showed cinematic, not even really anything, but just confirmed they're working on the next Elder Scrolls game. So
well, yeah, it's most of the time it's
right.
best to show that you're actually working on something.
Right. And I think it's like, okay, well, you're working on it, and we can expect to see it in the future. And that's the comment I'll make when I get to Nintendo later in the show about how they did some things. So I'm not going to get too much on a tangent there. I always chuckle when I see games that have been recently delayed. So, of course, we saw Crackdown 3 pop up on screen, and then it's like, we just got delayed again. So
I just got to say something about Crackdown. Like,
what you got?
it's not even about the delay or anything. Whatever, do the delay. But, like, Crackdown 1, I played.
Yes.
And I thought it was a good game because it was a new experience. Obviously, you had Saints Row and you had GTA. So,
Yeah.
it was like a kind of a spin-off of that. But Crackdown 2 sucked.
I really didn't enjoy that game.
It was the same exact game. Same
Right.
exact thing. Like, okay, so basically, obviously, GTA is the same thing, obviously. But, like, they add new things. Like, now that you got GTA where it's all unrealistic aircraft and this and that, and you get the people's attention.
Right.
Crackdown 2 was the same exact thing as 1. Maybe, you get a little bit of action feel is different, obviously. But what I wrote down is Crackdown 3 looks boring. It looks like the same game.
Yeah.
And other than the action feel, it's literally the same thing. Now,
Right.
maybe, you're obviously going to have a different story. You might have new things to do. But after Crackdown 2, why would I want to buy Crackdown 3? That's just my total honest opinion.
I think what's interesting is I think there's a question going on among gamers and I guess fans and those on the outside of maybe the Crackdown community of, is this game just too late? Like, have they taken too long bringing this game out where now there's just no real interest behind it? Because I don't know. Last year when they announced it last year, I think there was a lot of buzz and people were expecting to see it soon. Now it's been pushed back again, and I feel like it's slowly jading the community, and I think it's slowly beginning to miss its kind of like sailing date.
Well,
like
if you look how far Crackdown 2 came out after Crackdown 1.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It was just another long wait, and
Right.
that also gets into people's heads where they're like, do I even want to bother with this game anymore? Why did it take so long to come out? Why did they keep setting it back? What's the problem? What's wrong with this game? That's
right.
what I see.
And that was what I was thinking when I saw it, because I just think it kind of, in my opinion, it kind of just, how do I put it nicely? I think it kind of soured very briefly the pacing of the show because, of course, as like we keep saying, the 50 games, over a dozen premieres and exclusives, it was like, okay, here's this game we've been talking about since at least last year, and it's been delayed until well into next year. It's like, it just, I don't know, knowing it got delayed prior to E3 just kind of took the wind out of the sails. And I think it's going to force it to be overshadowed by those titles that are coming out in the future that were shown at E3 at the Xbox show. That's just my thought on that. It didn't jump out to me. I think they understood that in that delay, interest would be kind of waning for a bit. So they really didn't spend a lot of time on it. It was just like, it was there and then it was gone.
Yeah, the next game I got written down is Metro Exodus. I don't know if you're too familiar with that series.
I'm not familiar with the series, but very much in the vein of Fallout, I find the series to be interesting. So like I at least read up on the game, kind of watch other people play and things like that. I find the Metro series to be interesting. It's Exodus.
Yeah, because this is the second year it's coming out in E3.
Yeah.
The last Metro I actually played was Metro 2033. Oh my God, I'm so sorry for the flow.
The game was making an exodus from his brain, so he had to go find it. We're good.
So that came out in 2010. I didn't play until it came out on Xbox One when it was free.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was free on Xbox 360. My bad. But I played it then. You know about something? I'm like, it's just so creepy. But like, I don't know. It just shines out to me and looks fun. So it'll be a game I'm definitely gonna pick up.
Right.
Might be a little scared to play, but that's because I'm a little scaredy pants. But
are you?
But yeah, I will be picking that up. Hopefully, it looks as good as I saw it on E3 because it did look good.
Right. Interesting you mentioned Metro Exodus because right after that we jumped into a series that, while I love jumping into the middle of series, probably is the worst one to jump in the middle of. We got to see more of the my train of thought derailing. We got to see more of the Kingdom Hearts game that's coming to the Xbox One, which is very exciting because again, Xbox hasn't really been the place to get these kind of games, and to be able to get a Square Enix title like Kingdom Hearts is exciting. And we got to see some great interesting footage. We got to see the Frozen, I guess, levels or Frozen related gameplay. That looked awesome. Again, while I shouldn't, I'm probably going to buy this game because I find Kingdom Hearts to be very interesting, but as a kid, I missed the first few, and in following the lore, I've watched a bunch of timeline videos that break down the order of the games and what actions in one game mean for the next one and things like that. It has caught me up to the point where I do want to jump in and experience it firsthand, and since it's coming to the Xbox anyway, I think this will be the chance for me to jump in since that game is coming out the day after my birthday. So delightful. I know where my money's going.
I am not playing it. It's just something, you know how you have a game where you're just not into or just care about. That's just me.
Right.
Hopefully I don't catch a lot of flack for it because it is a pretty big game, but it's just something I've never played. Something I really don't care. I'm more of a first person shooter. That's just my opinion.
Right.
I do like my story mode games.
Right.
But it's just something I've never played before, and I don't really feel like jumping into it.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. I think for me, it's like I mentioned earlier when I was talking about The Witcher. Sometimes I just get a desire for a new experience, and sometimes that new experience goes well, aka The Witcher. Sometimes that new experience goes bad, aka the fact that I can't get past the first level on Dark Souls 3. If you don't mind helping a brother out, please tell me how to get past that first level. I keep dying to that guy.
All right, we might have to do like a little like FaceTime thing, and I'll show you.
Okay, thank you. It's much appreciated. So I'm very much the kind of mindset, not saying you're not, but I know when it comes to gaming for me, sometimes I like trying something new and kind of just branching out a little bit just for a bit to see if I like it. And Kingdom Hearts has always been that one game, but I can't see myself going on buying a PS4 right now and things like that. But if you're going to give it to me on a platform I have already and give me that opportunity to get that kind of experience, then I'll go and take you up on that and at least give it a try and see if I do like it. I think if the gameplay looks like I think it does, which it doesn't seem too complicated, it looks like stuff I've seen other Let's Players and things do, I look forward to at least giving it a try and branching out there and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, what's the next game you got?
We're going to gloss over Sea of Thieves because obviously the developers glossed over it when they released it.
I don't even want to talk about it. I played the beta and that was one of the most boring games. To be honest, you need friends to play that game.
You need friends to play it.
I don't have that. to play that game with. So
I was gonna say you don't have friends.
Well,
then what
I
are
got
we?
friends. I don't have friends to play that game, so
Gotcha.
that flew right over my head.
Right.
I played the beta, and it was absolutely the most boring thing ever. You need content to start a game off, and if you're not gonna start that off with, for what? How long the game's been out? A couple 6 months, something like that, right?
Not quite that long, maybe a few months now, but yeah, still.
But it's gonna take you all the way till the fall to come out with 2 new DLCs. I mean, and the game already just didn't have enough information or whatever. It doesn't drive me, so there was just that.
I think there are a couple of things that are coming up, and I think it's a good place for us to kind of look at a big talker that's going on right now, because I think the next thing in my notes that came up on the Xbox press conference was a video package of Battlefield 5. And as we know, Battlefield 5, what they're doing is they're not doing the loot boxes and things like that, but they are doing, which I'm glossing over the loot boxes thing, we'll just get to that later. They're not doing the microtransaction side of things on that, but they are doing Battle Royale. They're putting their take on Battle Royale in their game that comes out later this year. And interesting enough, after Phil Spencer made his comments on stage and talked about a few things, the next thing that came up was PUBG. And what they're going to do with their game, since that was a Xbox exclusive last year. So it brings up an interesting question. Everything is getting Battle Royale. We know Call of Duty is going to have their own Battle Royale mode. So I want to go ahead and throw this question out there. What is your take on AAA games going into the Battle Royale genre that is currently dominated by the likes of Epic Games' Fortnite and PUBG? PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, for those who may not know.
I think personally, that it's slow. Not you won't see it right now, but I think it's gonna slowly die down the gaming community. I just say that because now you see it specifically. There's Radical Heights. Now there's a new one, Realm, whatever it's called.
Yes.
Now you got the whole PUBG. I mean, you got the Battlefield and COD coming out, and then now they feel like they have to be in it. Which, let's be honest, they should not be in it. That should be not their worries. But that's for a whole nother discussion, because I could talk about that for hours.
I know you could, but I do want to catch you and ask you about that. In kind of a simple term, why do you think they shouldn't get in on it? From your perspective as a first-person shooter player, that's your thing. So, from your perspective, why shouldn't they get in on that?
Because they built their community around a multiplayer. Originally it was single player, but now it's developed to multiplayer, as in not Battle Royale. They literally put years and years of work into this multiplayer that now, Battle Royale is the hot new thing, but you also got to think about it. Battlefield and Call of Duty is it's year-to-year new game.
Yeah.
It's not Fortnite. It's not PUBG, where it's, we have this game for however long it lasts. Right. So let's say, Call of Duty and Battlefield, they come out and it's successful, right? Now you go into it, do you want to keep playing the old game or do you want to play the new game? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you could go and the next company, like I know Call of Duty does a 3-year cycle of the new companies, Battlefield doesn't. Let's say Call of Duty, the next company comes in and does another Battle Royale, right? And it's not as good. Now people don't like it and everything. Now you're going to see a drastic change that people are going to go back to the old game. I just feel like it's going to die out, or it's going to change the aspect of those games. And eventually you're going to have where Battle Royale just ends.
Right.
And it's like now see, the thing is, Fortnite and PUBG, they're all their own game. Mm-hmm. They will die off, whatever. But now you have Call of Duty. It's like you have a 3-year cycle.
Right.
You had a 3-year cycle of jetpacks, right? So now let's say next year, the second company in the rotation comes out with not next year. Let's say 2 years from now, you have the second rotation of a company come out with Battle Royale. That third company is gonna have to come out with a Battle Royale because it's in its 3rd year rotation.
Right.
Let's say in 2 years, Battle Royale is dead. That company still has to come out with still has to come out with Battle Royale.
Right.
And that's just my problem. It's just like, when is too much? When are we seeing too much?
I think from which we could talk about this all day. This might be a in-depth future topic. I think if I summarize my thoughts on the battle royale revolution that we're seeing, the interesting situation is you have Epic Games with their property of Fortnite. You have PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds out there as well. And as you said, those are dedicated games. They're not games that generally follow an annualized cycle, a la Call of Duty and Battlefield. Those games follow generally a yearly cycle where there's a new game every year. Whereas Fortnite is establishing itself as this is the platform. We will continue to evolve the game over time, not just next year release another one, so on. So I think that's going to be where the disconnect that may occur with gamers on on Call of Duty and on Battlefield. When the next game comes out, is everyone going to stay on that older game, or are people going to go to the next game and play the newer one? And if that's the case, are you splitting the community in two? Are you going to have some people who decide to stay at Call of Duty, the previous version, only because it has Battle Royale? Then you have the other half who will just go, well, I'm here for the new maps and all that and whatever. So I think it's an interesting situation. Call of Duty has done some other things too that I'm not really quite a fan of as a casual Call of Duty player. So we could get into that at some point. If not this episode, in the future. Yeah, because that's definitely a talker.
I could literally talk about Call of Duty for forever.
I know, he does it to me on Xbox all the time.
So I was thinking maybe we just keep that for like its own single episode. Maybe when COD Champs comes out and individuals like us could play Call of Duty, or maybe when the beta comes out, we could talk about it. But
yeah, that works.
What I have? I had one thing that now don't get it twisted. I love playing Fortnite, playing with my friends. It's great. It's a good game. But the one thing that every company should look at from Epic Games is they are actually talking to the community. They are finding out what's best for the game. They are adding things. They are taking out things. They are listening to people. They are going on Twitter. Everything that they are literally coming on with the community. And specifically as a Call of Duty fan, they don't do that. And I just think that every company should take advice from that, because if you actually look, us fans know what we want.
Right.
Obviously, there's always the 50-50 split and everything, but Fortnite is trying new things. They're adding a new thing every week. Right. You get a new update. You get something new. If it's not good, they take it out. I mean, it's been like that for the past year. And that's one thing that I individually love about Epic Games that is doing that good.
Right.
And
to that
just
point,
works like that.
I think I've only played Fortnite maybe 3 times. I played it just because, again, there's a lot of excitement around it. So I was like, I'll give it a try. I'm terrible. I died. I don't think I've hit a person yet, but whatever. That's not the point. What I think they've done right is one, you mentioned their engagement with the community. Really, they've done a good job with that, and should be an example, like you said, to the rest of the industry. But they've also just done a great job of really, I guess, making their game into this. It's not just a game. It's more just like this, I guess, digital powerhouse where it transcends culture and it's everywhere. My rule of thumb is if they're talking about it on like the Today Show and Good Morning America, you must be doing something right, because it means your game is everywhere, and they're going to try and find something wrong with it to say that it's ruining the youth, because before it was them, it was any game you could possibly think of. And yes, at one point it was Pokemon as well. So when a game just totally envelops culture and is making mainstream news, I think you're doing something right. They say no, bad press is whatever, however that expression goes with bad press. I think that Fortnite, yeah, I'm very smart. Let's just gloss over that. However that expression goes, I think Fortnite embodies the fact that they're taking the fact that they have become this property that is just at the current juncture is right at the forefront of modern I guess media. I I don't see a future right now where they're going to lose much to say a Call of Duty coming in. I don't see that.
No, they're not.
But I think at the same time you're going to see a situation where when you create these games where they have their own battle royale mode, you're going to start seeing people be torn and having to decide, do they want to play Fortnite battle royale or do they want to play Call of Duty battle royale? And that could have an impact on a community where someone's like, I'm already on this game. They could have incentive to keep playing Call of Duty since they're already probably playing it for XP and getting experience anyway. If that carries over to another game type like battle royale, then that could incentivize them to stay on that game. That could draw people away because you, as a Call of Duty player, you play Fortnite, so obviously they're trying to make that game appeal to a broad base of player, which includes first person and third person shooter players. It's possible that November could be a crossroads for Fortnite and PUBG. It's like when you start getting these bigger
hold on.
triple. Yes,
October.
October? Oh my God, time is flying. It's October this year.
Yep.
Wow. Well,
for the first time, Call of Duty will be coming out at the same month as I think I don't put me to, like, don't hold me to that, but I think every year Battlefield comes out in October and Call of Duty comes out in November, but it's the first time that Call of Duty is coming out in November, and it is October 12th.
Okay, gotcha.
So.
My mistake. Whoops. But no, I think, okay, so I can simply say when you get to the fall, that's when you're going to go ahead and see that crossroads that gamers are going to have to kind of traverse and see if they want to stick with Fortnite or give Call of Duty a chance in what they're trying to do with the Battle Royale format and also Battlefield. But we can literally talk about that all day. We can literally talk about that all freaking day.
For the month of October,
Mm-hmm.
it is going to, you're going to see I think for like maybe 2 weeks, whatever, maybe even more, you're going to see a drastic change to Fortnite's views on Twitch. Just because everybody's going to want to try out Battlefield and Call of Duty, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't want to be onto this too long because PUBG was still in E3. Anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
I've never played PUBG. But
neither have I.
But if I saw this correctly, now I don't really know, but like, I have a question because they did show seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if this is correct, I'm gonna be intrigued. I'm gonna want to play it. If they're gonna do every few months, the season that is actually in, like, let's say, right now it's summer, you do a summer map or you do a winter map, because I saw that there was a winter in 2018. So I as a just a overall battle royale fan, well, halfway, but anyway, if it is gonna be seasons, different maps, whatever, I will actually give it a try, because at least I know in the next few months there's gonna be something different. PUBG went so long with the same map. Now it finally changed, but it went so long with the same map that it drew everybody's attention away. It got boring.
Yeah.
So if they do seasons, I will be very, very excited.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing. I know they mentioned they're going to add a new game type. If I read that correctly, they're adding. Make sure I have my notes here. They're adding a new game type or adding. It's called War Mode.
Yeah.
I found that to be
War
interesting.
games or whatever it is.
Yeah. I found that to be interesting. Like I said, I think they're at a point where, I'm sure if you're watching this or listening to this, you've seen the headlines where all the reports of, PUBG is losing players and things like that. It's like, well, they're kind of put in a position where they have to start doing new things and getting people over there, give them a reason to keep playing the game that they've been playing for the last well over a year now on the same map at times.
Yeah, I didn't notice that the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it first showed up, I was like, I think this PUBG, but I could be wrong. It doesn't really have great movement. I'm just gonna say that it looked a little laggy, but whatever. It's a battle royale, whatever. I do wanna. We already talked about Forza, but I did have a question I didn't get the chance to ask before.
What's up?
And after this, we'll go into the whole Microsoft Studios and Game Pass and stuff. But is this going to be a good game? Like, are we gonna, since it's going back to Horizon, are we gonna have the same thing as Forza 7, where it was a terrible game? Like, you had the bad reviews and everything. So that was just my question to your, since you love Forza, I just had to ask that. That's a really good
question, because I glossed over that for good reason, because I could spend hours on it. Long story short, Forza 7 came out, and the game was fundamentally structured to be a microtransaction based game where loot boxes just infest the game, and as a longtime player I found that to be disgusting. I requested a refund and got one, because they really didn't communicate that through all the media that came out before the game, in which every time they would put something out, I was reading it, I was listening to interviews and things like that. When it comes to your point, when it comes to the Horizon series, it's developed by Playground Games, which is now a Microsoft company. So I think it's 50-50. This is going to be the first game since they got the backlash from the Forza community regarding the way they handled Forza Motorsport. Forza 3, when I say 3, Horizon 3, wasn't really... It really wasn't a microtransaction-oriented game, in my opinion. It still felt like it was about you earn your credits through racing, Forza Motorsport 7 felt too much like, we're going to find as many ways to slow down your ability to progress as possible. Case in point, I played Forza 6 day one until literally the day before Forza 7 launched. And I amassed 500 million credits in that game because of the VIP bonuses and other bonuses you use throughout the game when you're racing online or whatever. Because of that, that means someone like me, who is a VIP, could just simply do races and just earn XP, earn those credits to get the cars he wants. But instead, they basically throttled you through a bunch of different things I could go into another time. Long story short, they made it so it was more difficult for you to progress, except if you bought those loot boxes, because they gave you very little in the race. The only way you could get bonuses in the race was to actually buy bonuses, and that just it didn't jive well with the game. So you bring up a valid point. I am concerned. I'm holding cautious optimism that Playground Games is not pushed by Microsoft to implement similar practices into the Horizon series. At the same time, I'm hopeful that also the recent kind of headline dominating things we've seen regarding this subject, people being against loot boxes, I'm hoping that serves as a warning to them to be like, we probably should backpedal on this, because it's an image thing. We even saw EA, who has been voted the worst company in America, on numerous occasions say, we're not going to have loot boxes in our Battlefield game. And while I will believe it when I see it, they're making that step. I think if Forza decided to go in that direction, you're burning more bridges. And you're going to be burning more bridges with the hardcore community. The casual community, I don't know, because again, Horizon is more geared toward the casual community. It's very 50-50. I think they could possibly implement similar systems, which would turn me off, but I could see them maybe trying to keep their image as a gamer-oriented company and decide, all right, well, we're going to forego these microtransactions for this game. I would hope they forego them.
So let's take a let's take a prediction. Good or bad?
The game?
Yep. Do you think it's gonna be good or bad?
I'm going to be blunt and say that while 3 looked fantastic and was very expansive, it was a little too busy and it was just too much to do. I kind of feel like they just cluttered the map with a bunch of stuff to do. I'm going to say 2 was better. So I think I'm going to put it on a scale. I think that this next one, Forza Horizon 4, will not be as good as 2, but they'll fix the issues that were in the last one and make it slightly better.
Oh, that's good.
So, like I said, my issues just were there was just a little too much going on. It was a little too frenetic, in my opinion. Just not, I don't know, it just didn't feel like a Horizon game the way the last 2 were. So I hope they scale things back a little bit to make it a little more something not so over the top. Well, Forza Horizon is known for being over the top. What I mean is, not so. When I look at the map, it's like it's just a cluster of events, and I'm like, this is overwhelming, and I don't know what to do, so I just turn it off. I think they need to scale that back a little bit and give a little more guidance in terms of steering the player on the single player experience in the direction that they want us to go, or be more oriented toward online events a little bit, which is fine with me too. That's fine. Just don't go in the direction of the loot boxes and all that, please.
I'm gonna just touch it off with I am excited that there is an open world.
Yeah.
So it's different. So we'll see how that
Well,
goes.
they've all Forza Horizon games have been open world.
Oh, really?
Yes. Horizon 1 was...
Shows you how much I played the other ones.
Horizon 1 was Colorado. Horizon 2 was the Mediterranean coast. For Horizon 3 was Australia. And 4
Britain.
is going to be Britain. Which, again, Tokyo. Jesus Christ. Have y'all not watched Fast and Furious? Anyway, sorry.
Last thing about that McLaren Senna looks sexy.
It's a fine car.
Sexy.
Why didn't they roll it out on stage like they always do the cars apparently now?
Yeah, right? I like how they did on Forza 7. I was looking forward to that. I wanted to see that thing. But
yes.
The Microsoft Studios, I'm going to let you just take charge on this. So I'm going to let you take charge on the Microsoft Studios in the Game Pass. That's all up for you.
I mean, long story short, coming into E3, Xbox and Microsoft were kind of in this corner, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, that people had this perception, and it's a valid perception, that Microsoft and Xbox were not doing enough to create first-party exclusives and those experiences that we see over at Sony. So what I think this section does, working in news, this could just be a press release. You could put this on the Xbox Wire and just kind of be done with it. Instead, this got about 5 to 7 minutes on stage during their hour-and-a-half presentation, where they walked through and said, we went out and got this company, we got that company. They acquired Playground Games, which many people didn't realize. People assumed that Turn 10 put out Forza Horizon. No, Playground Games produces that game.
Yeah.
So buying these studios, I have to look at my notes here. They acquire Undead Labs. They acquire Playground Games, as I said. They bought Ninja Theory. They got Compulsion Studios, the studio behind We Happy Few. And I'm probably missing one more.
I got The Initiative.
The Initiative. That's
Undead Labs, Playground Games,
yeah.
Ninja Theory, Compulsion Games.
So yeah, those are the 5. What I think that was about, again, like I said, that could be in a press release. You put that out you could put that out at any time. Instead, I think they did it on stage because it's a show of commitment to trying to improve a shortfall, which was their first party offerings.
Yeah.
The Xbox has third party offerings. We know that. But it's about your own house. Your own house can sell your system. Look at the Xbox original and the Halo games. Halo sold the Xbox. And
definitely.
When they went to the 360, the conversation was always, well, we have to get people to stop thinking of the Xbox 360 as, well, the Xbox as itself as the Halo system. It's like, okay, you do that by creating more first-party experiences. So that's why you saw stuff like Gears of War come out and become another first-party title that could sell systems. I think this move was very smart on their part. Get these studios, get some creative studios in there. Don't, no offense to EA fans, don't pull an EA and essentially kind of pull the strings on them, not purse strings, but pull the strings on them in such a way that they don't have any autonomy to be able to create these unique experiences. And definitely don't do an EA where you acquire these companies and then gut them for their IPs and then leave them as shells of themselves, and all you have left is just the IP and you can do whatever you want with it. I think this is an opportunity for Xbox to go ahead and say, we have these properties, we have these companies working with us. We're going to use this as an opportunity to make some great first-party games over the next few years. And I think it was a move that had to be made, and had to be made this year.
As Phil said, by the words of him, this is to create, what do you say? This is to create groundbreaking new gaming experiences. So hopefully it lives up to his words.
Right. And he even said, like, even in his opening remarks, he mentioned that, quote, exclusive games made many people in Xbox fans. Yeah. Yes. And to that end, you can also pivot that into exclusive games made people into Sony fans, and exclusive games made people into Nintendo fans.
Yep.
So it's about the first party offerings, because third parties you can get on any platform you choose. So it's about what you can sell to consumers to get them to buy your system. So I felt that was a really, really, really good move. Regarding Game Pass.
Hold on. I got. As someone who doesn't know what Game Pass is, for your fellow mate right here, you want to just keep it short and sweet and just enlighten me?
I mean, in a simple way of saying it, it is a Netflix of games, is what I have heard thrown around. It's a simplistic way to put it. Basically, it is a subscription service that gives you access to a library of games. Right now, as of about mid-June, the library is around almost 200 games. So for $9.99 a month, you're getting access to that library. And much like a Netflix or a Hulu service or other content provider, those titles rotate. So what you may see there 1 month may be gone in 2 months and things like that, but then no stuff is added.
So if it's gone, do you still get to play it?
If it's gone from the service, you can still go out and buy it yourself. So let's say, for example, let me go to my notes here because I'm professional. My notes here somewhere, they added a few games to, yeah, I was right. They added The Division to Game Pass. So, for example, if you want to play The Division now and you have Game Pass, you can download and go ahead and play it. But let's say, for example, they were to pull the game from Game Pass. You will most likely still be able to buy the game in the store, in the Xbox Live Store, buy it from your local retailer, and then just pick up where you left off. Very much akin to EA Access, where EA gives you access to their library of select games, and if I were to say cancel my subscription to EA Access, I would still keep the game, like my save and whatever, but I would just have to go out and actually buy the game itself.
Yeah, that's where I'm not gonna bother with it.
I mean, I think to be honest, the Xbox Live Game Pass is a great model and represents where gaming is going. Years ago, Netflix tried to do Quickster, where they tried to get into the games delivery market.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
That lasted all of like the concept phase, and then they were just like, we're going to scrap it. This is the next evolution, in my opinion. I can argue with me all day. This could be, I feel like this is the next transition from the GameFlies that we see, where it's now about providing people with a choice of games that they can play and choose as much as they want. And then when they're done with it, okay, it's like, cool, well, I'm done with this. I can move on to something else. So I think the Game Pass platform is a great way, if they market it right, to bring people to Xbox. Because all you have to tell them is, you get your Xbox Online for $9.99 a month. You get access to nearly 200 games that you can download to your Xbox right now and play. And you'll be able to do that, no demos or anything. And when you're done, you just uninstall it, and it's $9.99 a month. I think that that's a great selling point. I think that the subscription model is good, and it's where we're heading. That's why GameStop is struggling. Oh, I'm sorry.
I could see why it could do great. For
Mhm.
people that always could pay for it and be like, oh, there's this game. Yeah,
Right.
it works great. But as a person that doesn't want to worry about a game getting off, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, like a game that just falls off of it, because
Mm-hmm.
if I own a game, I already paid for it, and I don't have to worry about paying for it after again. Let's say I get into a game and then another game pops up and I didn't get to finish that game. Now I have to go out and buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it really wouldn't work, because with video games I get very distracted.
Yeah.
So distracted. So
Right.
I rarely ever get to finish a game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I'm just saying it wouldn't work with me.
I think the other side of it is it's another way to tell people or to get people to understand that, or to get people connected with the exclusives that Xbox has. Because the other caveat is Xbox exclusives also go on Game Pass the same day they launch in traditional retail or the Microsoft Store or whatever. So, for example, excuse me, Sea of Thieves was one of those games that launched alongside the I guess you could say, it launched alongside the traditional release. So while people gave Xbox a little flack for that because they may have used that to inflate their numbers of people playing, at the end of the day, it's giving people access to titles that, I guess you could say, newer titles, like launch day titles, and as long as the company is up for it, it gives them access to a library of games going back a few months or a couple years to play. Now, mind you, again, as with anything, there are some caveats. Some of the games on there are older sports games and things of that nature, but there are some gems to be found among the Xbox Game Pass. Xbox Game Pass. I personally am not a subscriber. I tried it for 3 months. I played a few things, but I see the value that can be found in it.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I only have 2 more games to talk about on Xbox.
Okay.
It is Devil May Cry and Dying Light 2. Now, I've actually never played Devil May Cry. The only thing I really had to say that it actually surprised me that it came out, because 10 years, I mean, that's a long time to wait for another game.
It's been a while.
It just surprised me. I don't know if you actually ever played the game.
I have not, but
Okay.
it's one of those franchises that I know fans are very passionate about.
Yep.
And the kind of guy I am is just like, I like seeing fan bases excited. So seeing that they announced this game and knowing that that's going to excite a lot of people who follow the series, and that it's going to be in the style that they prefer, which is more the older Devil May Cry games, that makes me happy. I like the fact that their fans are getting something that they've been waiting for a while. So that's good. That's excellent for them.
Yeah, that's why I had to bring it up, just because of the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to Dying Light, have you played or watched or anything with the first one?
I've seen bits and pieces of the first
Okay.
one.
I never actually played the first one, but I watched like a full playthrough and everything. And it's just a totally different zombie game. I mean,
Right.
the fact that, I mean, obviously it's like The Walking Dead, where your choices reflect in the future. Obviously there's that, which to be honest, I love games like that.
Now, when you say that, you mean like the Telltale game? Is that what you're saying? Like
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Walking Dead?
Basically,
Okay.
what it is your choices can either be good or you can get
Right.
consequences because of your
Right.
choices. Which I love the idea of that.
Mm-hmm. It makes you feel like you're part of the world. It makes it feel like what
Yep.
you're doing
And
matters.
knowing that your gameplay is gonna be totally different from the
Right.
next person, so that
Yeah.
just to me is phenomenal.
Right.
And I like the idea of like, oh, this is supposed to be like a horror game. Let's make it actually scary. Let's make a zombie game actually scary. Okay, cool. We're gonna make the zombies even harder at night.
Right.
Yo, I've watched a playthrough of that. It is frightening, man.
You sound
something.
frightened.
It is something. I mean, it's harder. You can barely see, and it just all that aspect.
Right.
Get have the sun go down, and bam, it's a totally different world. So that's what I like. I actually did not expect the second one to come out, but hey, we got a treat.
And the one thing you glossed over, which I have no problem with glossing over, because when it comes to Ubisoft, I prefer to wait until the game comes out. So we're just gonna forget about the Division for a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I like Ubisoft games. I love Watch Dogs, but to that exact end, I've played Watch Dogs and I've played The Crew. And as many people who follow gaming know, the Ubisoft downgrade hasn't occurred yet with The Division. So when they showed the on-stage presence at Xbox's press conference, I was very intrigued by the game, and I thought it looked fantastic. But I also remembered we saw such grandiose things when they announced the first Division, and then we got such a scaled-down version of that game. So unfortunately, while I want the Division to do well, and I would like to try and get into the Division with some people, I need to see what the game is actually going to look like when it comes out.
I didn't have anything for it because I like Tom Clancy games. Favorite one right now is Rainbow Six Siege. But I didn't play the first one, so I don't know anything. So I was just like, yeah, maybe Mike will know something.
Well, I mean, the real issue is I had a friend who played it, and I watched him play it for a little bit. Me and him would always talk about he enjoyed the game. He didn't like just kind of the repetition and kind of the barrenness of the world, just how empty it felt. But his issue was the fact that just the game that we were shown years earlier was not the game that we got, and that was annoying to him. So when Ubisoft puts up that game and shows the Washington D.C., which I've always loved games that are set in Washington D.C., when they show that, I'm like, all right, this looks great. I know this is kind of like a pre-done whatever, scripted whatever. But I'm like, this is not what the game is going to look like. Is this what the game is going to look like when it comes out in the future? So it's just I have to see more closer to when the game actually launches. That's where I am. So yes, we glossed over that, but I felt like I wanted to hit on it for a minute, just acknowledge it, but also say I am hesitant to get any sort of hype behind it.
Well, as we close up Xbox, do you have anything else to say about it?
Xbox in general?
Like, do you have anything else more that happened in the press conference? Because
nothing really jumped out to me. I mean, that pretty much summed up everything I thought about Xbox. I think it was the show we needed to have after last year was the great teraflop show of 2017. This was a show that we needed to have. We needed to show. We showed the Xbox One X last year. Now we need to show what it can do. Yeah. So that's what this show was about, and I think they did. I'm not going to say, for the record, at least for me, I'm not going to do the X person or X company won E3. That's not how I operate, really. I think for what they needed to accomplish, which was showing a dedication to creating and bringing experiences to the Xbox, they did that. They did exactly what they needed to do.
So, on that note, what company do you want to talk about next? Or press conference do you want to talk about next?
Well, considering I'm looking at the clock and we're already it took us an hour and a half to get to this point.
Yeah, well, I felt like we were going to talk a lot about Xbox anyway. Yeah. I felt like we were going to go really strong in that. Like, I don't have, like, the number one most notes after that. Like, PlayStation's kind of slim, Nintendo's kind of slim, so I think we can kind of go we can kind of go over everything very quickly.
Yeah, I think we can agree with that. All right, well, since I feel like you absorbed a little more about Sony than I probably did, 'cause I just couldn't really get into the way they did things this year, which I'll get into later. Let's jump into Sony and how they did things. They did this 2-venue thing, and they had this middle segment where these people were sitting at a desk, and it just didn't jive right. It didn't feel like there was, for me, it didn't feel like there was a lot there. It felt like it was a very barren show. It was like, we don't have anything to show you this year. So here's some stuff we kind of threw together, and here's Spider-Man, which you've seen for the last 2 years. So that's how it came out to me. What's your take on it?
Well, in the beginning of the podcast, I said I felt like Sony or just PlayStation just wasn't professional enough. Xbox, they did it all in one go. PlayStation, They had the intermission in the middle. And to me, it just was like, why? Is there not enough information? Like, Xbox went what? Like, what was it, 30 more minutes longer, and they didn't have the intermission. It's just
correct. I mean, the question I have is the only way for me to experience The Last of Us Part 2 is to be in a tent? Like, is that the only way I can play the game? Do I have to go to Walmart and buy a tent to play The Last of Us? It just felt a little too artsy.
That's like, why are we in a tent? Like, what is going on? This is E3, and then they show Last of Us Part 2, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, but this is still E3. This is not.
And for the record, that was the only segment that took place in that tent. The rest of it took place at the second venue.
Why do that? I mean, now you're taking away from your whole thing where you had to switch over to another place. I don't know. It just felt like it was cheesy, but that's just my opinion.
It just didn't feel like it was paced very well, but... So we saw The Last of Us.
Going on to that, once I heard... I didn't know what the tent was, obviously, but once I heard that banjo play, I was like, no way, The Last of Us is coming out with a part 2. No way. Because I know the theme song, so I'm like,
right.
That's The Last of Us right there. But obviously we already talked about that, so I'm not going to get any more into that. We already went into it. But... the next, we talked about Call of Duty's bits and pieces, but they did show that 4 Black Ops maps are returning. So we got Jungle, Summit, Slums, and Firing Range. As a huge Call of Duty fan, I am very excited. I love my returns of old maps or old guns or whatever it is, and those 3 of those maps were actually huge. The Jungle, it's not as the bigger, but Summit, Slums, and Firing Range is huge. Like, those are, like, iconic maps in Call of Duty. So, for me, that was great. But, I kind of want to talk about Destiny and Anthem together. So, we'll bring EA into that. Now, I played Destiny 1 and 2. Destiny 1 came out, and I'm like, whatever. It's the first game they came out with. Whatever. Then the second one comes out. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, they're great games. But you got to come out with... This is like the Sea of Thieves thing. You got to come out with a game that has enough content without a DLC that has to be immediately rushed into the game, or we have to immediately wait for content. At Destiny 2, you can get to level... At the time, you can get to level 20 in like, what, a day or two. Well, not a day, but like 2 days. And you're like, oh, what is there to create a new character or try to get friends to... raid. Now, as a person that didn't have friends to play, like, I had my brother and everything, but I didn't have another 4 friends to play a raid with. So and I'm not gonna join a clan to go play. Whatever. Yeah, I can make friends, but I wanted to kind of enjoy it by myself and my brother. So there's that. By the in 1 week, I was like, so what is there to do? Oh, we have to do that. We have to try to do the Nightfall and try to get up to 305 power.
Right.
But, you're doing the same thing. You literally had to wait for the weekly update every week. And so basically it got to the point where I was playing Destiny 1 day a week just because there was nothing else to do. And I didn't really feel like making another character. So for me, that's where I just was like, all right, I'm done with this game. Now they came out with DLCs, whatever. But now you got to pay for every DLC. They didn't come out with enough. They didn't come out with enough information. Content. So now I got to pay for more content. Right. So I just didn't bother with it. Yeah, if I had 5 friends to play a raid with, yeah, that'd be cool because then I could actually do the raid and do bigger things, whatever. Now this brings me to my point where I don't know how Anthem will go. I know you have a lot to say about it too, but I'm very skeptical against it because they're saying, oh, it's like a game you've never played before, this and that, just experience a whole new game. As a Destiny player, it seems exactly like Destiny. The only difference is you don't go into the town with online. You go into the town with single player. Right. But you hop into the world or wherever they Anthem wants to fly to, and then you go kill things. There's people there. There's your friends, whatever. So for me, it's like it literally feels like a Destiny. So now that you compare it to Destiny, it's like, is there going to be enough content for everybody? Because if there's not, then what's the point of getting the game? Because I'm not going to waste my money. Now there is the javelins, just like how Destiny has the 3 characters. their characters is called Javelin, which is the Ranger, the Colossus, the Interceptor, and the Storm.
Right.
They didn't really show us too much about the two, but whatever. The only one thing I do gotta say, other than Destiny, is you're a freelancer and you could choose. It's basically like a skin. You could choose whatever class you want to be at that time, which
Right.
personally I like because you can get bored of a character after a while. So a nice pace of change can do a lot. They did mention about the no loot boxes and no paying for power, which hopefully they held up to that because I'm sorry, I don't want to put money into that. But that's just my experience on it. I just hope that they put the content that needs to be there because I don't want to buy a game where 1 month into the game I'm completely bored and I have to wait till a DLC. I'm sorry, I don't want to wait till a DLC. Now, if I have to wait till a DLC, I'm not going to buy it.
True.
Because I'm not going to waste my money now to buy more things when they already should have been into the game. That's exactly what happened in Destiny, and I'm not going to do it. That's why I didn't buy Sea of Thieves, because I already knew there wasn't enough content.
Oh, well. Sea of Thieves. Jesus. I guess if we're looking at Sony's conference, like we said, overall it was a little lacking in my opinion, in terms of the offerings. Like I said, we saw extended looks at some games, like you mentioned, Last of Us. We saw Spider-Man again. We of course saw Hideo Kojima's next upcoming production, Death Stranding, and a couple others. In my opinion, when it comes to Sony, I've heard it said around the internets and everything that it seems that now Sony has gotten to a point where everything they announced a couple years ago, well, a lot of those things still haven't come out yet. And I feel like they're running out of things to throw people on a nostalgia train to quote unquote win E3. I got so fed up when the 1 year, I want to say it was 1 year they announced Crash was being remade. And it was just like, oh my God, Sony wins E3 because I'm like, they win E3 because of a remake of a game. Like, I don't understand that logic. Now, again, one could argue that I will be giving praise to Nintendo later for Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. I'm not saying that wins E3. That's nothing really new. It's just, it's the same kind of thing in a different art style on a different system. I feel like now Sony is kind of like, I don't want to say wringing their hands because it's not like they're in a crisis, but it's more like well, what do we have to show in terms of exclusives? Because they even so they show Kingdom Hearts. That's not an exclusive. That's cross-platform now. Last of Us is exclusive. Death Stranding is going to be exclusive. Spider-Man is going to be exclusive. And that one other game they showed is going to be most likely exclusive. So when you compare this year's extended coverage of things they really wanted people to get excited about, it was really lacking in my opinion. I think that it's a situation where finally Sony is kind of being put in a position where, oh, we need to kind of step things up a little bit. Or I think they just fired off the hip a little too quickly with a lot of the games they showed 2 years ago and maybe should have held those a little closer to maybe have a little more to show. Or they might have to do what Xbox is doing and start looking for those unique and innovative or even intriguing studios and properties out there to try and get them to come to Sony. I don't think showing us the same Spider-Man game, and while I love Death Stranding, I find it fascinating. Yeah, it's great to see another trailer and some footage of it. It's just, okay, you could have just showed me this last year then. This feels like last year's press conference where we got some Death Stranding, we got some Spider-Man, we got a couple other things, and cool. I don't think it worked out for them, and I also think that they're getting a little too artsy with their show. I'm like, I get trying to be kind of creative and a little out there, but still, at the end of the day, I think the pacing for this show was bad, and the reason it was because of they're trying to be so, I guess, innovative and different in terms of their overall presentation. That's just my take. I'm not crapping on them, but I just think it definitely wasn't the most compelling of shows, in my opinion.
Well, all right. So you mentioned the exclusives and everything. They also didn't have one of their number ones exclusives, which is Infamous. I mean, it just you know, everybody looks forward to that. I don't know when the last one came out, so I can't really judge on that. But you know, Xbox, they just showed off two of their number one exclusives, and that brings hype to it. So there's whatever. The only thing I really have left that I've written down was Resident Evil, which
maybe that would classify as that exciting remake for that they do every year. There's always one exciting remake they do. Maybe that counts as that. And
we're going back to 1998. So Leon and Claire are back for another one. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie. When that first came up and they showed that pizza and that dead rat, it looked really, really good, man. Like those graphics actually looked phenomenal. I don't have much to say. I didn't play the first one. I didn't play the original.
Right.
I played Revelations, which I think is different, but anyway. And I played 5 and 6. 6 absolutely sucked. 5 was amazing, but 6 absolutely sucked. And I did a full watch of 7. Which 7, I thought it was good for like 3/4 of the game. And then because it actually had the scare factor, it had the mystery, you know, and everything about that. You got the last end of the game, and it was like, okay, the scare factor's gone, and you just thought it kind of dragged out the end. That's just my personal opinion, but that's not the game we're talking about. So
of course,
remake. I mean, I probably most likely, I don't know. For me and Cody, we plan on doing. We're so scared of horror games. Like I actually get frightened, whatever. But that's whatever. So we want to do like a scary game. So maybe that'll be one. Who knows? Maybe we'll do it. But that's whatever. And then the last thing I have to touch on PlayStation is, do you really got to go on 40 minutes about Spider-Man?
But it's Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, I gotta tell you, it's
Spider-Man.
It does. Okay, cool. Yeah, you brought in what? A lot of villains. Cool. But what'd you do from the last one? More action, more bosses. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's what we got. But we didn't need to drag it out for that long.
I mean, when I talk to people about what their favorite PlayStation 2 game is, it's always Spider-Man 2. And I think this falls under their trying to recapture that kind of like energy that surrounds that game. And yes, it went on a little too long, but when you compare when you compare to what's left on their show, like what they had to show, it's like really you had to kind of just go over the top with it and go over the top with Spider-Man, because there wasn't much left to show. Like you kind of had to like I said, I guess their hands were tied. It's like, well, we gotta show something. Well, go and show them Spider-Man again, because I guess maybe they're hoping that'll get people excited. But again, we've seen it so many times so far.
I did play Spider-Man 2. It was a good game.
Yes.
But that's it for PlayStation. It was kind of, I don't want to say pathetic, but it was just.
Ouch. Jeez.
I don't want to say that. Oof. Because they did come out with some good, they did show some good things, like, Last of Us Part 2 and Resident Evil 2. So I'm excited for those. But it just was like a lackluster year. So that's whatever. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. So I think you would argue maybe it wasn't a bad show, because maybe the things they showed were things that I guess would excite people or excite you as a consumer, but it definitely wasn't a earth-shattering kind of event for them this year.
They could have done more.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of my take.
I want to move right on to EA. I could do this quick. We already talked about Anthem. We already talked about Battlefield, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really looking forward to FIFA. Personally, I didn't feel like they showed enough. What? They show?
They didn't show anything. They showed some
a
confetti.
Champions League. Cool.
They showed the Champions League, which
Anyway,
that's great.
That's also
right.
whatever. And then personally, I'm excited for.
I can tell you this. In full disclosure, the Champions League thing is a big deal.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. It's I think it's actually cool, but that's the only thing they did show.
Yeah, it's a big deal, but at the same time, it does not negate the fact that we should see something. Yeah. Literally, the entirety of their time on stage was just using flowery buzzwords that we hear with every EA Sports game. We've refined this gameplay, and we've enhanced this, and we've tweaked that, and it's like, all right, you say this every year, so all right, cool.
They did put the right person on the cover. That's all I gotta say about it. But
that's fine.
Moving on to my next point is we're going to a game that I'm looking forward to this year, and that's Madden 19. First off, they did not show anything, which
you're looking forward to something we didn't see on stage.
Well, yeah. I haven't bought a Madden in so long that I need to buy one, so that's why I'm excited for it. But they didn't literally show nothing. Oh yeah, whatever, the champion came up, whatever. But they did show my man Saquon Barkley first. Now as a Giants fan, I'm excited.
So that's why he's okay with this presentation.
No, but they just didn't show anything. So I can't really comment too much. But that's it for me and EA. I didn't have much.
Well, my notes are buried under me, and they're written on paper, so I make a lot of noise, and we're professionals, so I don't believe in noise. I'm making a lot of noise earlier.
Yeah.
Speaking of noise,
look at you, man.
Speaking of noise, the entire EA press conference was noise. My take on EA's press conference was predictably bad. I feel like it's just easy. Internet thing to do is just to crap on EA, but this press conference was uncharacteristic, was just categorically across the board not well put together. None of the sports games all got cinematic little things. Barely anything was shown. That shows you how much I feel EA cares about the sports division, because the sports division I feel only exists purely to be an avenue for the Ultimate Team mode, which is in every EA Sports game, to my knowledge. It's in NHL, it's in FIFA, it's in Madden, and it's in, I want to say it's in, I don't think it's in UFC, but I think I don't know. Don't want to hold me to that. I know it's in their franchise 3. Their top series all have their own Ultimate Team mode, which makes a lot of money for them. So I feel they really can just get up there and say, we're making one. It'll be out later this year. And they don't have to do anything. They do the bare minimum of putting something out there and saying, we tweaked this, we enhanced this, and we made that blade of grass look a little better. And that's it. Well, you move on.
You know, when you have half your press conference on one game, that's what you get, I guess, right?
And the panel they had for Anthem, while, I think panels are good and panel discussions are good, I don't think they work for a press conference format. Now, yes, one can argue this is not a press conference because it's really geared toward gamers, not geared toward the press. Even still, it'd be awkward sitting through a panel discussion as a member of the press, I guess. And in this situation, I just felt like it felt less like a panel discussion, the way they tried to put it up, and more like our presenter is going to ask you specific questions like this, and you're going to answer them like this. And I just didn't quite care for that. Yeah. I am going to pull out my notes right quick and just kind of gloss over a couple things. I think I made note here. They showed they showed about 10 games, I want to say. Roughly 10 or so games on stage. NBA Live and Madden were only video. Mm-hmm. We did not see a Need for Speed game.
Did not see the NHL.
Which is interesting that we'll get to NHL. Which is, I can tell you why there was no NHL. The Need for Speed, I think, is going to disappear again. It's going to go away for a little while again. It disappeared kind of halfway through the Xbox 360's life cycle. as it kept trying to reinvent itself after Carbon. Then it kind of went into the Pro Street era, and it kind of just bounced around and came back as Hot Pursuit. It's going to disappear again. That's my hot take. Because after the flack they got for the latest Need for Speed, they have to retool this. Because that Need for Speed game was just a microtransaction on wheels, and they got a lot of crap for it. So the fact that one of their annualized franchises wasn't seen, that is a big deal, in my opinion. The other thing was NHL. Now, my opinion is NHL doesn't mean anything to EA. It is a franchise that they just kind of have the license to, and they throw together a game and they put it out there. The other reason why I don't think anything was seen is because I think that now they've shifted from having it on the show floor or like during a press conference, and instead they do it during the actual NHL awards. Because that's when we got the reveal of Nashville Predators defenseman PK Subban being on the cover, along with Wayne Gretzky being on a special edition of the game. And we saw some gameplay. Again, they did the bare minimum to say it's a new game. And as an NHL fan, that's whatever, because it means I'm not buying the next game. Yeah. That's how I look at it. Overall, they showed a couple indie titles. We got Unravel 2, which was good. I feel like that game was underappreciated. It was good to see that game come back and have co-op mode. And the fact that it came out, a YouTuber I watch, Scott the Waz, made a good point. It was interesting that
channel.
I watch a lot of YouTube, so I like saying where I hear things from. I agree with them. But he made a good point where he's like, it's interesting that it came out the day of the press conference, but it also kind of gets quashed under the news of everything else that gets to come out. So it's kind of like awesome it came out, but it's like, I hope it doesn't get forgotten in like 2 days.
Sadly, it probably will.
Yeah, so, and we saw a couple other games that were interesting. Well, one that was interesting, Sea of Solitude, which was by this Berlin-based studio. I don't quite understand all the game is trying to say, but I like how excited the studio representative was on stage about it. And I'm hoping that in a similar vein that we saw A Way Out, which was a unique title that is really interesting. I find it was interesting coming from EA of all people. Yeah. I hope that EA continues to find these kind of independent developers and let them have these kind of creative freedoms to create these unique games. I don't know if it's a game at this point that I'll buy, but I did find it intriguing enough to be like, all right, well, that's different. All right. And I can tell there's an energy and an emotion behind it that she was very passionate about. I'm like, all right, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. To close out, we saw Command and Conquer, whatever. That's a mobile game. It's going to be a microtransaction fest, most likely. And then we finished with CEO Andrew Wilson lying, as he normally does, saying that there is choice in their practices, and the gamers have choice, and they're making sure that no one has an advantage or disadvantage when it comes to these microtransactions. I call shenanigans on that because, again, through their practices, particularly with Battlefront 2, I just don't see that being a true statement at all. EA is a publicly traded company. Their goal is to make money. I completely understand that. But at the same time, they're making that money through, in my opinion, anti-consumer practices that are just not friendly to the consumer that they are trying to sell to. But at the end of the day, it still falls under the same guise of, well, people buy it anyway, so there's not much really you can do. It's like there's so much outcry, but people still buy the games because, again, EA is not hurting. They're having one of the best quarters in the company's history. Their stock is going crazy. So obviously, yes, there's been bad press, but it hasn't stopped people. So I'd sum up EA by saying it was predictably lackluster. Improvement from last year, predictably lackluster.
So I have 3 games that I know that you haven't played, that I actually just want to talk about really quickly. Mm-hmm. Go back to Bethesda. Wolfenstein Young Blood. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of concerns. They didn't really. Why? Well, obviously they didn't show anything. There's that, right? I don't have
right.
concerns to where I don't think the game's gonna be bad, because I actually, I do think the game will be good, because I haven't hated a Wolfenstein yet. So there's
Right.
that. But it's more of like, I just need to see more. But obviously everybody else needs to. I have a question obviously it's a question just to nobody. But is it gonna be a new game? Or is it going to be another expansion? And the reason I say that is because you had the the New Order come out, and then the Old Blood came out, right? So there's that,
Right.
and that was an expansion to that game. Now you have the new Colossus come out, and now you got the Young Blood come out. So I don't know, just me as a weirdo, I just saw that the Old Blood, now the Young Blood. Is it just going to be another expansion of the new Colossus, or is it a new entirely different game?
It seems like it's going to be a standalone experience, at least from what I've been reading.
So that was just my question, because I mean, obviously, a lot of people don't know right now because they didn't give us really much information. But it'd just be cool to know if it is a standalone game or it is an expansion. Now, to me, I don't care. I'll still buy it.
Yeah.
So it really has no problem to me.
Right. Of course.
But I just wanted to keep that short and sweet because we ain't saying enough about it. But that's all I have about Bethesda, because we already talked about Fallout. Oh, about Fallout. Yeah. It is 4 times as big. It's a prequel, and it's 4 times as big as Fallout 4, which is insane.
Right.
But whatever.
I mean, I'm down. Well, again, it's about the map is that much bigger, but you can make the map as big as you. Yeah, it's like you can make the map as big as you want, but there's nothing on the map. Then you've got so much empty space.
And there's nuclear sites. So you can so we'll just see how that goes. But next company is Ubisoft. I only have 2 games, and that's Trials and that's Assassin's Creed. I don't have anything other than that, but I love Trials. I'm actually really, really excited for this one. And the only reason I say that is because, obviously it's a new game. But Trials Fusion to me was a very good game, like all the other Trials to me. But it was just way too colorful and fake. Yeah, cool, whatever, you want vibrant. But I'm sorry, we went from Trials HD to Trials Evolution, and those felt so realistic with the motorcycle and everything, that theme. And then you go to the colorfulness of it. Basically, what somebody said was, it looked like a crayon. It looked like a Trials fucked a crayon box. Because that's just how it felt to me, and I relate to that. It was just way too colorful, but whatever.
Right.
They did show a lot of new death animations, so I'm very excited about that. But just as another Trials fan, I'm excited to experience the new one.
Right.
I don't know, do you have anything to say about it?
I mean, I've never been huge into Trials, so it really didn't make me excited. It was more like it's coming out. It's a flagship title now of the company, so I was not surprised. I'm not surprised that it finally got confirmation of another one. But for me as a gamer, like if I look at my purely myself, it really didn't excite me very much. It was just like, okay, well, here's another one. Cool.
Yeah, because it's like the same thing. It literally is
like
the same thing. The only thing that's different is obviously the maps. I'm not denying it's the same thing.
Right.
But I just been playing since the first one, so I'm like, I'm just gonna continue playing. I enjoy it, so there's that.
Right.
So now moving on to Assassin's Creed. This is another game where I don't know what to expect, but I love the theme they're going for.
Yeah. I like it. I like this game, actually.
Ancient Greece, like Spartans, I just think it's going to be... I just think it could do very, very good. You saw the battle scene, that was simply, to me, my jaw dropped. It just looked so cool. It's like a war and everything.
Right.
It brings something new into Assassin's Creed.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think that this game, building on the previous game, really does a good job of kind of changing the formula of what an Assassin's Creed game is supposed to be. I mean, at first it was very much a kind of methodical stealth game, which is fine, but what I noticed was as gaming tastes change, so too do the games need to change. Yeah. And as a result, you see them experimenting a little more with different ideas and concepts. And I think what we saw last year with Origins, which is Assassin's Creed Origins, yes.
Yeah.
What we saw with Origins, and now what we see with this one, you're seeing more of a transition into kind of that RPG space, which is fine. I think it's totally great. You saw that they're going to be including choice in terms of like
that's what I wrote down.
You'll be able to make choices in terms of what you say and things like that. And I think that's how you make your series adapt. You either remain the same and stagnate, or you try something new and step out. Again, people hate change, but sometimes change is necessary for the sustainability of a series. Yeah. So I think this game could do really well, at least from what we're seeing so far and what we saw during E3. I'm really impressed with it. I don't know if I'm going to get it right now. Maybe I'll get it a little later, because I'm going to have a lot of stuff coming out in the fall. But
I just think
like it.
The theme will do good. Just the specific theme will do good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just spitballing. I really don't know how many, but you had 6 games or something like that, 5, 6 games or something like that, where they were just the same thing. Where it was in a city, you jumped on a roof, you went into the little house, or not house, but little tent thing to get away from everybody, or you could jump into a cart of
hay and stuff like that.
There you go, and you get away.
Yeah.
It's ever since Origins, it was nice. It had to get the change. I mean,
right.
Black Flag, you had the ships and everything. That now you got in Origins, you got the horse, the owl, the falcon, the hawk, whatever it is, and then you had the
bird.
Yeah, and now you got the ships in everything else combined.
Right.
I felt like this game, like from what I just saw, I felt like it was everything from every Assassin's Creed before, plus now a battle scene.
Right.
Like, you never had a full-on battle scene, so...
True.
I don't know, after watching the Spartans and everything, it's,
I think
the theme will I just think the theme itself would do good. Yeah, people obviously love Assassin's Creed, but the theme itself is I think it is a good one.
Oh yeah.
So,
of course we saw more of the Division, which we talked about the Division earlier. And a couple other smaller things. Yeah, of course we saw our traditional Just Dance 2019 section, because of course that series will never die. We saw Skull and Bones, which I'm not too familiar with that game. Forgive me for missing that part of the...
Skull and Bones is the pirate theme one, right?
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay. Let me just say, I think that will do better than Sea of Thieves.
It looks much more intriguing than Sea of Thieves.
Yep.
You okay over there?
I hit my hand on my desk.
Were you assaulted by Sea of Thieves for trashing it so much?
I might have.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Then we kind of finished out with the showing of Ubisoft somehow wanting to go into Toys to Life genre with with Starlink, Battle for Atlas. That's interesting, my opinion. It's cool and all, but I feel the Toys to Life space is dying. Yes, Amiibo is still around. Yes, Skylanders still exist, but I feel like that space is getting slowly, more quickly reducing in terms of other studios. We saw Disney Infinity end a short time ago. I just don't... them going in Toys to Life, that just didn't interest me out. It kind of turned me off. So Ubisoft was pretty much what I expected. Personally, I still miss my girl Aisha Tyler because she was wonderful. And yes, I made jokes about how the comments she would make on stage, but God, now I miss her. She was so great. So this press conference was very... it was there. I really can't say anything bad because they showcased what they needed to showcase, but it really didn't do anything overwhelming that made me feel negative or made me feel positive. It was very middle of the road.
Well, I went in knowing what 2 games I was looking forward to, and I got the 2 games that I was looking forward to. So
Well,
from
good.
that perspective, I give that an A.
Yes.
Everything else, to be honest, I really don't remember too much after that. I'm not gonna lie.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
They get a C for just perfectly average.
Yeah.
So with that, do you want to jump into the last one we have here, which I guess is Nintendo?
Your favorite one.
Oh, I didn't say it was my favorite, but I did rather enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you take the charge in this one, definitely.
Well, I mean, it was a Nintendo Direct, which, for those of you who don't know, years ago, Nintendo scrapped doing the on-stage presentation that they used to do for games, like a la Xbox and Sony, how they're actually on stage, in exchange for doing Nintendo Directs. So this was a Nintendo Direct where they stressed that they were going to focus on games that are coming out in 2018. And that they did, because if you really look at how the presentation went, they focused on a slew of games for the first 20 or so minutes, and then one game for 25 minutes, if you look at it. Overall, they hit on some of the likely suspects. Of course, we're getting another Fire Emblem game, a series I haven't really gotten that into, in my opinion. I like the characters, but it's a franchise I just never hopped into. It's very much like Kingdom Hearts for me. I feel like there's so many games all over the place. I struggle to be like, I should just jump in. So it kind of turns me off. We did get Fortnite on the Switch, which is a all right deal. I won't say it's a big deal. It's cool that they got it, but I don't think it's anything that's ending the world in terms of excitement. I think it's cool that it's on the Switch, and now people will be able to play it there, and they'll be able to do, if I'm not mistaken, crossplay. So yes, you'll be able to have crossplay between that platform on the Switch, then the Xbox One, the PC, mobile, no PS4. PS4 does not want to play. No. Then just kind of rattled off a bunch of small titles that are coming out. Of course, we got stuff for Xenoblade Chronicles, of course. And then they just rattled off kind of just these few smaller titles. Fallout Shelter will be coming to the system. Some other kind of indie titles, I guess you want to say, Undercooked 2. Then you get to the second half.
It's right. Isn't it Overcooked?
Overcooked. My brain is undercooked because I'm very tired. We're recording this after I've had a long day of work. Overcooked 2. But what I was going to jump back to is what I saw a lot of Nintendo fans kind of question was how much time was spent rehashing what we already know. Going back to Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. So they announced that weeks before, which, thanks to leaks, we kind of knew about weeks before that. But then they spent more time on the mechanics of this game, which we already knew from the initial presentation a few weeks earlier. So I felt like I wish we could have got a little more there in terms of more about the game. We did find out that with the Pokeball Plus, you'll be able to... you'll get Mew when you get the Pokeball Plus, so that'll be another Pokemon you get when you actually have that peripheral with the game. And one thing that was absent, well, two things. Last year we got announced that a mainline Pokemon game was in development. We did not see that game this year, which is fine in my opinion because it means they're working on it. So I don't want to see it till it's ready to be shown. And we did not see Metroid Prime 4, which was confirmed to be in development as of last year. So those are other things that I think could have been in the show. Maybe even like they did with some of the other Pokemon games. I think Sun and Moon was the one they did this with, where they kind of did a developer diary where they show and talk about the guys working on the game and the people developing the game, but also throw little tidbits about the game here and there, like they put some like concept art in the background, just kind of get people's imagination going. I think that would have been nice at E3 for this next Pokemon game that's gonna be the mainline game in 2019, which, as we all know, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are not mainline games. They're just, they are there. They are not your mainline games. So after we got through that section of the show, then we have our favorite section of the show, which was Sakurai.
What?
Masahiro Sakurai, your lead on Super Smash Brothers. He is the face of Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, the guy's name. See, I didn't know the guy's name.
Yes,
So
that's the
that's
guy's
why
name.
I'm like, what?
Yes, Masahiro Sakurai. As I say it wrong, and then
Yeah, I'm not gonna
comments on
try to
that.
say his name because that's not gonna work.
Knowing
out.
me, I think it's right, and it's probably wrong. But and to any point, he's on screen, and he talks about what Smash Brothers is, and it made me chuckle. And then I'm just kind of walk through like my experience of watching that. We go into the next section, which was them saying this shows that Cory wasn't lying. I've watched this 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
The number that appears next to the character's name represents their order of appearance. And I found that very intriguing. So I was like, all right.
Oh, I paid
but
attention to that.
I was like, so if you're coming into it from my perspective, watching it live, I was like, well, what does it matter if it's like probably not going to be the full roster, which we're usually not able to get in a Smash Bros. Game. It's like a few people plus some new guys. What does it matter what number they came in? So you start watching, and we go through basically the first few who were in the initial game, way many years ago that I played on the N64. Then we get the Ice Climbers, and then I scream like, "Oh, get up!" I love the Ice Climbers. I used to play as the Ice Climbers at Walmart when they used to have a GameCube in the electronics department, and I would just play as them because I love their character. And the trailer just kept going and going and going. And there are just so many characters being added. And I was like, all right, cool. A bunch of characters. Then they dropped Snake in. Side note, Snake's in the game again. They dropped Solid Snake. And then just the words, everyone is here. And I'm like, holy crap, he did it. He's put every character that has appeared in a Smash Bros. Game in Super Smash Bros. Universe. And that's just crazy to me. That's just an insane thought. It was. I agree with, again, I will mention him, Scott DeWaz, who brought up the fact that it kind of is a bummer we're not going to get like the anticipation of those fighter reveals before the game comes out like we got with Smash 4. But at the same time, it was cool to seeing so many fighters get confirmed in like a matter of 3 or 4 minutes. That was fun. The fact that they've made some tweaks there. I don't know about stages. They mentioned they're going to have a lot of stages. It looks like we're probably going to see a lot of stages from the past games, plus maybe some newer ones that I think they might come up with for this game. But they had a lot of stages from my past, from Melee, and that was great to see. And of course, gameplay fixes and stuff like that. I am excited for this game. Probably a hot take. I don't think it was necessary to give it a 25-minute segment. But when they say that they're focusing on games coming out in 2018, they had to focus on that because that is a system seller. And I think coming into this holiday season, the justification for buying a Switch is now stronger now for consumers. The library is getting stronger. It's a great looking roster of games that are coming forward and are already out. So you'll have games like Mario Tennis, which we're recording as the day the game came out, and Cory is forcing me to do the podcast when I could be playing tennis, playing as Mario, and I'm sad and I'm angry, but I'm gonna be fine. I'm just kidding, it's fine. But you're gonna have such a great roster of games, such as you still have The Legend of Zelda, still a fantastic game, great thing to pick up this year. Super Mario Odyssey turns 1 later this year. Go pick up that game if you're getting a Switch. Mario Kart, always fun. Super Mario Party is coming as well. That was another announcement. A lot of solid game. Oh, side note on Super Mario Party. it seems to be a shift back to classic back to classic Mario Party styles, which is what people wanted, as the series has been kind of for the last couple years. So that's exciting as well. This is the year, if you want to get a Switch, this is the year you get one, because now there's finally a library of first-party games and some good third-party games to sink your teeth into and really justify getting a Nintendo Switch. Also, it has Fort. Go play Fort. I won't play Fort. I'm terrible at it. I'm done rambling.
All right, I got a couple things to talk about. I'm just excited to play some. I mean, I'm excited to play as Fox.
Yes.
So I got that for Smash. Got a returning map that I am highly excited about, and that is Congo Falls. So I'm excited for that. And I saw one map that actually caught my attention. Sonic Stage, Green Hill Zone.
Yeah,
so
that was in Brawl, and
that's not new. Oh,
no, that was in Jesus Christ.
Uh-oh.
How embarrassing. How embarrassing. No, but yes, that is a good stage. It has been in every game since Brawl.
Well, look at me not knowing. Alrighty then.
Well,
Anyway,
you don't play Smash like me.
Nah,
like,
I haven't played in
you have a life.
very
I don't.
long time. And for your boy, I don't have a Switch yet.
No.
The number one game that is making me get Switch is Super Mario Party. I'm so excited.
Even though we didn't see a whole lot of it, we didn't see a ton of gameplay. We saw some clips, but they were really focused on look how much fun these people are having. It's like, yeah, I want to see what fun they're having. Show me the game. Even though we didn't see a lot of the game, it did look like a return to form for Mario Party. So. It looked more like a traditional Mario Party game. Excuse me. And it just looked good on the screens.
I remember sitting down for hours and hours just playing Mario Party with my cousins. I literally mean, like, we went through weekends of just playing Mario Party. So
that's lit.
For it to come back, I'm hoping I could have those times again. Not an entire weekend, but maybe be like, yo, by the way, hey, got Mario Party, you want to play? Bring it back like the old days. So I'm excited for that. And obviously, like you said, there's other games that have came out in the past. So I'll eventually get that. The whole reason why I didn't get the Switch is just I just felt like there wasn't enough games that intrigued me. So now that we got Smash and Mario Party coming out, I am very excited for it. To finally own one.
I mean, this is a conversation me and you have had way before we did this podcast together. Forgive me, my voice is going away because I'm very tired. We've had this conversation before where I've said, yes, I bought the console the second day it came out. I got lucky and got the last one in my area. And I don't want to say I regretted it, but I will say I understood as an early adopter, the library just wasn't there yet. And that's what I would always tell people. I told you that when I brought my Switch up when we hung out. The library is not there yet. We need to get a few more very strong titles on there. In my opinion, if I get Smash, there's no if. When I get Smash, I will be on my Switch far more than I am now.
Yeah.
And because of that, that means I'll be playing other games too. So yes, I bought Mario Tennis today. I'm going to play the heck out of it in a little while. I'll play it some more tomorrow. But at the same time, I know that eventually I'm going to be like, all right, well, I'm going to take a break and come back to it. When I had my Wii U, and I had Smash 4 for the Wii U, I was probably playing my Wii U pretty often, to the point where it was hooked up to my Xbox, and I could just switch between my TV and the Wii U to play it, because I just get the urge, like, I want to play some rounds of Smash online and just have some fun. I need that one EP, that one game that can get me to go on a Switch regularly to then be more willing to experience other games when I'm not wanting to play Smash. So I think between Smash and maybe Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which I'm getting Pikachu because, Pikachu. Between those two, those be the ones that might be able to get me on there to kind of not look at the Switch as just kind of a novelty second system, but more as this is a second system that I actually really use and really try to get a lot out of, and maybe I'll start taking it more places and doing more stuff with it. Got my beautiful neon yellow Joy-Cons over there. It looks so nice.
I knew after E3 it was gonna be the mark for me to finally get my Switch. So
Yes.
now is the time to buy one before all these new games come out, and I'm out of luck again.
Yeah, 100%. I don't like thinking that they'll be hard to find. My thing is, I think this is a year that while Nintendo has caught up on their supply, I think if they market it right with this roster of games and the fact that both Let's Go Pikachu and Smash will be launching during the holiday season, you can leverage the system as the hot holiday toy for the holiday season. I think it's possible that this is going to make a run for that because I just don't see Xbox One X, PS4 Pro really positioning themselves as that hot must-have gadget this year. I think the Switch can do a good job of appealing and showing that they have a strong roster of games to justify it being the hot gadget for the Christmas season. So watch it. I think it will be the one that really sells this year.
And it should.
Absolutely. So. Hey, they got my money. Regularly.
They will
pre-ordered a lot.
Take my money soon. So.
Absolutely. Well, so all right. That leaves us. We've gotten to the ones we wanted to bring up. Is there anything you want to hit on before we kind of start wrapping this journey up?
I'm excited for what did I want to say about? I was gonna make a prediction for next E3. Oh man.
Make that prediction. It will live on the internet forever. So I hope you're right.
What was it?
Oh no, it's gone.
The thought is not there anymore.
Oh, geez.
It was about Xbox. Well, hold on. Let me look at my notes again.
While you look at your notes, I'll go ahead and wrap up my side of things. Yeah. Overall, for me, while he's looking at things, E3, in years past, I used to get really excited about, oh my God, I can't wait to see what they announce. I can't wait to see all the cool things they put together. But over the years of just getting older and maybe my gaming tastes and things changing, what I've noticed is I'm more focused on what I'm looking for at these press conferences. For me, I'm looking for now a lot of rich, deeper experiences. So that's why Cyberpunk 2077 jumped out at me. That's why seeing Kingdom Hearts now, for some reason, excites me. And also still just those kind of pick up and play games I can kind of just pick up, jump into, and play. So Smash Brothers, one of those games where, of course, practice makes perfect, but it's still a great game just to pick up and play, be a single player or online. Let's Go Pikachu looks like it'll be along those lines as well, where I can just pick it up and relax and play some Pokemon on my TV. Then the overall E3 really hit those marks for me. Xbox, while I think they did a great job showing me a lot of games, it did get a little heavy-handed in terms of showing a lot at one time, and it was a little hard to process. Sony didn't show me enough to justify maybe spending the extra money to grab a PS4 Pro and maybe build a small library of PS4 games. Nothing against the ones they announced, just they weren't enough for me. In terms of publishers, Bethesda, while I'm not a huge Elder Scrolls Fallout fan, as I said earlier, as a fan of gaming, it makes me happy to see games get announced and confirmed that their fans are passionate about. So that's awesome to see them working on Elder Scrolls and them working on these Fallout games and a few others. EA, like I always said, predictable, but just you can tell where their priorities are. Again, they're a business. They got to do what they got to do. But at the same time, you can tell the focus is on, trying to clean up their image, but also how to maximize how much money they can generate out of these games. So they're constantly looking at new innovative ways, quote unquote innovative ways to provide microtransactions or things like that. That just bothers me, even though they tried to say it's choice. I don't think it's choice. I think it's more they're adjusting their model to shift from where people are buying games over and over again on an annual basis, and instead monetizing the one game they have multiple times over, where they're likely to get more return on their investment. So that's that. Ubisoft was kind of just there. It was a lot of what I expected, but just nothing too earth-shattering either. And in case I haven't already hit it, Nintendo, while I'm a Nintendo fan, I would never say they won E3. I'm not going to say any of these companies won E3. I believe Nintendo showed what they needed to show in order to sell that system this year. Quick note, there was no mention of 3DS during this show, during this press conference. They did not talk about it, really, if at all. If they did, I missed it. It may have been in one of those slides that kind of rotated by, but overall, the 3DS was not mentioned. That should be very interesting for the future because, as we know, Pokemon is going to have their first core title next year on the Switch. That could be signaling the transition away from the 3DS as the flagship Pokemon home. I could be jumping the gun, but I think that's going to shake things up, and I wonder how they're going to implement that when we go forward into certain things like Pokemon competitive play, how that's going to switch over to the Switch if it does at all. So I think that'll be interesting, but again, they showed something. They could have spent some more time on more things. I didn't think Smash needed to be 25 minutes, but as a Smash fan, I appreciated it. As maybe a member of the media, if I was a games journalist, I think it was a little too much for in that regard. I mean, that's just my take. Have you figured out your thought yet, or no?
Basically, so I don't. I had
the train has left the station.
Nah, it's so far gone. It's not coming back. Maybe if I ever think about it again, I can say it on a podcast. But I had a prediction what was going to be shown in next E3, but whatever. I don't remember. So
Crackdown being delayed. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah.
I said it. Let's go.
I don't have the prediction I wanted. I thought it was going to be a good one. Though I could possibly be right, but whatever. Maybe if I think about it in the future, I'll say it.
All right.
Because E3 isn't for another whole year, so there's that.
True.
But
that's correct.
Something we did not mention, this is what I'm closing out with, because a lot of gamers, I hope, are excited as I am, like 10 out of 10 excited, is are we finally going to get Red Dead Redemption 2? Is it finally not going to get pushed back? Are we finally going to be able to play it?
Oh, okay. Do you mean are we actually going to get it? It's supposed to come out in 2019, right?
No, I thought it was supposed to come out in 2018.
It's coming out this year. Okay.
I thought so, right? Because it was supposed to come out in March, and then it got pushed back. Actually, it was supposed to come back like last November.
Back, I forget.
Last November it got pushed back. And then, so I thought it was supposed to come out like November or something of this year. I mean, I could be wrong.
You're right.
Right? Good.
Yeah. It's going to be scheduled for release on October 26th. Sorry, I have a terrible habit of when a game gets delayed, I kind of just put it out of my mind until maybe 6 months before.
Yeah.
So they delayed it, and I was kind of like, whatever.
For
future
like
Michael's
6
problem.
times, so is that. So that's why my question is, they released three trailers, but it's like,
right.
It's almost here. Are we finally gonna get it? So I'm just closing with that because we didn't really talk too much about it.
Stop criticizing Red Dead. It was only delayed twice. Relax.
It felt like a lot more, man.
It was supposed to release in the second half of 2017, and it has been delayed twice. First to Q1, Q2 of this year, and now to October 26th of this year.
So let's just hope we get it. All right, that's all.
Well, let's hope we get it. But just remember, GTA 4 was delayed right before it was to come out. So.
Oh, hold on. I got my prediction. Thank you, Mike. GTA 6 will be shown in E3 next year.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting take. Why?
It's been talks about around the community a lot, and I feel like it could be not like, don't get me wrong, it might not come out to like 2020 or 2021.
So you mean we might get like a
something like a Halo Infinite. Like
exactly.
Something like that.
Just a cinematic, say it's coming, and that's all we have to say. It's on the way.
definitely not getting a gameplay, but I feel like we'll get like a cinematic view of like something.
Maybe to tell us where it's going to be set or something like that.
Yep. So that's my prediction. We'll see next year what happens, but
if he's wrong next year, his Twitter handle is Cory Webster 85. Tweet him and make sure you put the E in his name when you tweet him.
Just make sure you don't mention me.
Oh gosh. So 2 hours and 30 minutes later, do you want to call this show a wrap?
I felt like we went an hour longer than we expected, but there was a lot to go on.
I see why some shows do hourglass, or they're like, oh, well, we're done. There was no way we were going to be able to do that this episode.
We were an hour and a half
next episode.
We were an hour and a half in, and I was like, yeah, we're still on Xbox. Okay. But, whatever.
Lightning round.
I tried to go faster, but you couldn't. It's just so much. So
it's fine, and we were having fun. So I think that's what this is going to be about. And once we get out of E3, next one we do, hopefully next month, will be similar, where we're talking about maybe one topic or a few different topics for maybe an hour, and just really going into it and kind of bouncing ideas back and forth and just having fun. And
that's what I was thinking. Like, it's going to come to the point where, like, basically we plan on doing this once a month right now. We'll see how things go, obviously, but it's going to be to the point where it's not going to be so much now after E3. So there might be a few games or whatever. So we'll talk about that. So I felt like after this one, most of them will be like an hour, maybe more, maybe less, whatever. You get what you get.
Yeah. Like I said, it'll really be about just kind of talking about what's going on in gaming and maybe topics and things like that, and just go from there and just have fun. And of course, we'd love to hear your thoughts on what you thought was great at E3, what you thought was terrible at E3. As long as it's not Smash, please don't call it Smash terrible. I'll cry. I will cry physically, tears. But be sure to comment and be part of the conversation, and just let us know what you think and what topics you want to hear us talk about as we go out of the E3 and go into the summertime. What's on your mind, and we will go from there. You made me do the opening, so you close out the show.
Oh, you want me to close out the show?
Yes, welcome to being put on the spot.
Like you said, if you guys got anything that you want us to say, to talk about, obviously, write in the comments, whatever. That's basically all I got. I hope that you guys enjoy this as much as I enjoyed it. And the future is bright. We'll see how it goes, but don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. And for that, we'll see you in the next one.
All right. See you later, guys.